What is going on, Casually FC? Welcome to another rendition of the Casually Chelsea show. I am accompanied by the lovely panel of the Bridge 258, Oliver, and Real Chris. I am your host, Marshalldbdx. Be sure, before we start the show, guys, smash up the like buttons. Make sure you are subscribing if you're new to the channel, and both of these things apply to Ahmed as well, who is currently streaming on the Bridge 258 channel, so be sure to smash up the like, hit the bell notification over there as well, and subscribe. And as always, guys, check out the links in the description, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts, check out the memberships, 4 different tiers starting at 99p on Casually FC, and yeah, let's get right into it, guys. First bit of news that I have for us right here is, and you guys always know, we start the show off lighthearted and then we go into the heavier stuff. So let's start off with some Chelsea preseason dates. Okay, so according to the Chelsea website, I believe, I have the tweets right here. Boom, boom. Let me share the screen. Okay, Chelsea's announced. Chelsea's. Okay. Anyways, Chelsea announces 2 games for the Summer USA Tour. Wrexham on Wednesday, the 24th of July at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. And on Wednesday, 31st July, Chelsea play Club America in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. I hope there's more games because I cannot attend any of these. These are too far away from me. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that they're going to come back to the US again.
You know what it is?
What's up?
Sorry, Marshall. Before, I just want to say fast and fast. Round of applause.
All right, I got you. Hold on.
Come on, man. Come on. There we go. Clap.
What am I applauding to?
You're applauding to you saying the names of the clubs in such a nice and perfect way for the first time in a long while. So I just want to say first, bro, from the bottom of my heart, congratulations on that one. Secondly, like,
okay, thank you.
So secondly, it feels like, obviously, I know last year they did some form of like a East Coast thing, right? Where they were going along the East Coast, giving those guys their thing. So I think this year, they're trying to do something similar to that, where they're trying to do a bit more of the West Coast. Even though I know Atlanta, Georgia's more East Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I could see something like maybe they go to like Seattle, Washington. You got California there. Maybe they do something like in Texas. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, I could see something like that. It is what it is. I mean, you gotta share the fruits. You gotta share the love. Okay, that works too. We can share the fruits too.
Yeah, man. But listen, man. Obviously, I am kind of disappointed about the level of competition we're facing in preseason, in my personal opinion. Like, big up Wrexham, but Wrexham, man, like, I'm sorry, bro.
Hey,
we need to be facing, we need to face a bit more tougher competition, in my opinion. You're better off really facing. You might as well get an MLS team to face us, because at least then you have some level, a bit more, of competition, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're better than Wrexham.
Aren't they in the middle of their season at the time though?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. They might be.
I seem to remember that their season's January to December. Or what? I don't know. I might be wrong on that. I might be completely wrong. But
what are you saying, Chris?
I was gonna say, like, Wrexham. Obviously, they got what's the guy who plays Deadpool?
Mark Reynolds.
Ryan
Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, sorry. I fucking get the names confused all the time. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds.
He's probably the one who pulled, honestly, he's the one who probably pulls the strings to do this, because you saw last season he was facing big teams like Man United and all that. So he probably pulled strings to get his team to do that. So it's just like, a money thing. Like, really, it's not like really football thing, is it? That's what it is.
No, obviously. It's a publicity thing, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, I can't really get excited for preseason anymore, considering what happened this preseason. So now I'm kind of just taking it with a grain of salt. Yes, I would love a chance to see my Chelsea play and witness it, but like, I don't know, man. Like, now it's bittersweet because it's tainted by what Poch did to us this preseason. So I don't know if anyone feels that way as well. I'm definitely taking preseason with a pinch of salt this time.
I'm gonna be down if I see Poch leading that preseason. That's when I'm gonna be feeling down. If it's Poch, then yeah. I felt like, you know what, let's write the season off now in pre-season.
And it could happen. It could happen.
It could.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to enter it. I'm not going to enter it with the most optimism. What I've learned over the years of watching pre-seasons is, if we're good in pre-season, then take it with a pinch of salt. If we're bad, get worried.
Shut up, Jez. You didn't say anything, man. Until you pull out the receipts, you didn't say anything. But yeah, so that's basically news about the upcoming games in the preseason. We'll see what happens, and it'll be nice to see Chelsea play in the preseason and see what's going to happen. But I'm going to take the performances with a pinch of salt. But okay, that being said, we have more to talk about here in terms of a new employee being hired by Chelsea. So let's discuss what this employee is and what he's going to do. So here we have here from Mike Keegan. Manchester United's media chief, Phil Lynch, is joining Chelsea. He will be taking a role of global head of digital for Blueco. Now, here we go. The Old Trafford executive was accused of creating robots off the pitch by the ex-United defender after a video emerged in 2021 of him explaining how the club works with players on social media. Interesting. So this guy fakes views or some shit. Like I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But based off of this, I'm assuming head of digital. I guess they want to have more of a presence in the digital space in terms of the YouTube, the social media, and all that. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like when it comes to like a digital presence, like Arsenal and Liverpool are like up there in terms of being active on social media and having a presence and a big broad audience for it. I could be wrong about that, but that's how it feels on my end. So I guess this guy's job is maybe to enhance that.
Well, like you go on social media, like Chelsea has like one of the biggest followings anyway. Like over like even at Arsenal. I don't think we're ahead of Liverpool, but we we are ahead of Liverpool. I think it's just we're not ahead of Man United of like social media numbers and Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. Like, but I don't know if it's just PR. Like, you know, maybe you can help with PR more and, you know, social media stuff like that. He's not really what I'm concerned about anyway. Like, you know, Chelsea's social media, I'm more concerned about on the field and stuff like that, of course. But yeah, I'm not really bothered about that one, to be honest. I'm not sure about it.
Yeah. I mean, anyone have any 2 cents to add on this, really? Because I feel like this is one of those, like, we're just going to say it for the fact of saying it.
I'll be honest, man. You know, again, this stuff usually is not going to cause you any outrage as long as you're winning.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is only going to improve it, you know what I'm saying to you? So,
managing bot farms, maybe we'll get extra 1,000 extra likes.
The problem is just the bot. I don't think it would be necessarily bot farms. It would probably be more so how to get more engaging social media stuff.
Yeah, that's the engagement. Yeah.
That's what it is really.
I mean, because there is money to be had there. That's the other thing too. Like, I feel like people don't look at it that way, but you know, there is money to be had by having people come on your YouTube and watch these training videos and montages, interact with the Twitter and stuff. Like, there is an avenue of finance in that, yeah, of course, you don't want to let that just go to the wayside. I get it. Obviously, we're all annoyed because we rather them just focus on the football first and then work on the rest of it later. But yeah, like I said, I mean, it's not impossible to work on multiple things at once.
Yeah, that's the thing, really. Like, people think that the two things can't coincide. We have different departments for different things. There's no way they are solely focusing on this one thing and not looking at transfers or looking at staff and things of that nature.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I guess we'll see how that plays out. I feel like these positions never really get too much shine on them. So it's just one of those things that, all right, it's an announcement. We have this now, apparently, and in the long run, it might come up again. So going on, we have apparently also a little bit of scrutiny happening with our CEO of business, I believe, which is Chris Jurasek. So little bit of 2 cents on this after I read it. Chelsea CEO Chris Jurasek, in a recent staff meeting with new starters, he was asked if he supported Chelsea. To paraphrase and to open mouths, he responded that he was not really a football fan, before adding that he refers to the games at Premier League meetings as a product and our fans as customers, which people get mad at. Which, sure, I mean, again, this guy's a business guy. Like, you know, PYS posting this, it's a mail sport, like not the most reliable source, doesn't really matter. But it's just like, I feel like sometimes these guys post these things just to get interactions and clicks. Do I care? Not really. I didn't hire him to be a fan, and I'm not hiring, like, if I'm running a business, right? If I'm running this team, I'm not hiring people who are fans of the club to come here and work. Like, that's, no one does that really. Like, if you happen to be a fan, then cool, you know? And if you happen to become a fan, even better, you know? But like, at the end of the day, like, as long as you get the business end of things, you sign the deals, because this guy's like in charge of the sponsorships and all that. As long as you get all that stuff done, then I could give less of a crap what your thoughts are in a club and you know, if you're a fan or not. I really don't care. Like, just do your job and move it along. You know, are we going to get upset at managers that come in and they're not like Chelsea fans? Like, it's like, it's silly to me. Yes, you know, you're looking at the fans as customers, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Like, you know, at least here in the States, I'm sure this refers to in the UK as well. Customer service is one of those things that is seen as really important. Customer service, making sure the customers are happy. You could see it as that way as well. It doesn't have to be like, I see money. You know, it's not saying like, when I look at our fans, I look at dollar bills and the potential for making money. Like, I don't think it necessarily means that either. I think he's just doing his best to do his job. And at the end of the day, that's just his way of doing it. I don't know. I'm not that fussed about this, but I don't know if you guys feel differently.
I'm not fussed personally. I mean, people will feel like calling the fans customers is dehumanizing. And I understand that to an extent. But at the end of the day,
I get it.
At the end of the day, a customer makes an investment for a service. And in this case, we are investing time and or money in return for football. So by definition, yes, we are customers, and you can feel however you want about that, but that's just the truth. And you just look at the owners across football in general. How many of them are football fans? Like, this doesn't matter. Our is John W. Henry a football fan? Is the Glazer family a group of football fans? Is the Kroenkes a football fan? No. So and that goes to the same thing across sports as well. I'm sure that there are many baseball owners that aren't fans of that sport. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day. The only thing that matters is success and knowing how to get there, and that's what we should be concerned with at the moment.
Arthur, thank you for the chat here, brother. The thing is, CEO doesn't have to be involved, but I won't be surprised. The people who are also in charge, I guess, also have crap mentality. I think is what he meant to say. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we'll see. I think in terms of like the business side of things, I'm sure they hired the right people. It seems like we're heading into, despite, you know, stadium stuff and all this stuff, I think it looks like we're heading into a overall profitable club, which that's great and all, but you know, at the end of the day, the football is what matters the most for most of us fans. Chris,
I think we only start getting profit when we start getting European football as well. Like, that's because we've, like, this ownership has made a huge investment. Like, we spent over $1 billion, of course. You know, obviously we sold players too, so you know that comes back. You know, tries to balance the books, but like, we have to start getting European football. Like, you know, sponsor deals. You know, they rely on us to get European football. You know, better sponsors will want to go sponsor teams who get European football. So it's on the field work as well. Like, yeah, behind all the scenes, like you're saying, like all this, like, you know, social media and like, you know, behind the scenes and all that, like that could be all great, but the team has to work well. You know, the team has to do well. It can't be sitting around 11th for like the rest of its life. If you want, you'll fall behind. Like, you know, teams like Tottenham will overtake and all that. Like, other teams will.
Yeah, and I get that, obviously, and I don't think the owners are dumb enough to not understand that. I think the owners, for the most part, understand that the reason Chelsea was as big as it is because of its success. So it would be very shallow of us as a fan base to think that the owners don't know that. I'm sure they do. And, we'll read more about some of these opinions of the owners on recent, results. But I agree. I think they're going to make it so that the club is still profitable despite the results, which does scare me to a certain extent as to where they stand in terms of, complacency. But I think they also want to make as much profit as possible, and that requires also winning trophies and winning leagues and so far and so forth.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this goes, and we'll see where the mentality is in a few years' time. Obviously, right now it's not looking good, and I'm hoping that it does change over time. And if it does, then good for us. I mean, I'm glad they were able to turn it around. If not, then fuck. If not, it's we're done. We're washed out here. Old Chelsea's done. But all right. Welcome, Scott. Let's go ahead and continue on. And let's talk about a lot of rambunctiousness happening over at Strasbourg. And I guess we'll see if it's justified or not. But yeah, so there's been a lot of things going on in Strasbourg. This was mentioned last week on the call-in show very briefly, but we have more details here and we'll talk about it. So Chelsea Dodgers here tweeting, an RC Strasbourg fan group is urging Clearlake, led by Boehly, to change their U23 transfer policy or leave their club. And this is the letter that they got. Then the letter supposedly says, breaking, SC Strasbourg released a statement dated 6 March demanding to see Blueco owners, which is a fair ask, I feel like, especially when things are not going well. I feel like these managers or these owners should be speaking on it, but let's continue here. They want to meet you, was how Mark Keller put it when he announced the sale of the club last June. Months went by, and despite our reminders, none of Blueco's stakeholders come to see us. Out of respect for Mark Keller, his work for the club over the last 12 years, over the last 12 years, and above all, his confidence in the new owners, we waited. By the end of January, our patience had run out, and we asked for a final meeting with the shareholders to be held no later than the end of February. Okay, we got more here. Here we are in March, and we still haven't seen anyone, so it's time to take stock on this new page in the history of racing. Racing is now nothing more than a financial asset owned by an investment fund that already owns another football club. We've said it before, and we'll say it again. Multi-club is killing football, and we'll fight it. 2 mercatos have also come and gone, and all we can do is watch helplessly as our club is stripped of all its experienced players in favor for young up-and-coming players. It's now clear that Blueco requires the recruitment of players aged 23 years or less. We're not fooled. No professional club can be competitive under these conditions without balanced recruitment. The tens of millions invested in these young players will not serve. Where did I leave? Where am I? Shit. Just new owners. Oh, Jesus. Okay, we're not full professional club can be competitive under these conditions. Without balanced recruitment of 10 millions invested into these young players will not serve racing, but only the interests of the new owners. That's why we're asking, what is Blueco's real plan for racing? With all his experience and past successes at the club, how can Mark Keller endorse such senseless sporting policy without saying a word? Although the end of the season promises to be tricky from a sporting point of view, we would nevertheless like to assure the team of our full support in their bid to stay up, and the sole condition that the players honor our shirt. I mean, I understand the frustration, but I feel like, and you guys can, tell me if I'm wrong or not, I feel like from the get-go, we weren't ever going to make this team a Champions League team, because the idea was to make our team a Champions League team, and because of the multi-club model, how it works, we can't have 2 Champions League teams in one tournament, I believe. So I don't know. I mean, at the same time too, like it seems this whole letter seems a little bit out of touch, or not even out of touch, but almost like read the room. Like you were in relegation last season, and now you seem to have a better season with the players that has been recruited by Boehly.
They're 1 point above the relegation zone.
Are they really?
Yes.
I thought they were mid-table.
Nope, they're 1 point above the relegation zone.
They were mid-table very recently, but there's not a big gap between that and the relegation zone.
Hold on. But anyone have any thoughts on this? Like, do you think? Yeah, my keyboard doesn't work. Do you guys think that?
I'm not surprised. After watching them today,
Scott.
they are bereft of any real talent in their team. Even the guys they have that you expect to be talented are not showing up. Angelo didn't play today. Santos got no minutes again today. His 5th game, and he's played about 10 minutes. That's a different issue entirely. But yeah, I'm not entirely surprised. I think the breaking point for them was the selling of Sells, their goalkeeper and captain, because he was like probably their best player or one of their better players. Certainly the most experienced player in the squad by far. See, I'm kind of not surprised that they feel this way, especially as mentioned. I think a lot can be masked or can be kind of held back if your club is in a good position. They're basically in no better position than they were last season. I saw a quote tweet to this, I think it was, or to something else related to this, related to the ownership group, by a content creator that I thought was quite apt. And it just appears that they're rushing things. Like, you can't look at the clubs that are under the City Football Group, for example, or under or under Red Bull, or you look at other affiliate clubs. You look at USG, for example, under Tony Bloom, the Brighton owner. You look at I'm trying to think of like other teams. Like even you look to an extent like Forest, who are technically the affiliate club for Olympiacos. They're even at clubs where there is like stuff is being done to help that club. You look at what they're doing, it feels like they're rushing everything, and it comes back to there's this level of naivety about the way they go about things. Like I feel like they've gone in there with the right mindset of what they want to do for that club, but have completely fucked it in terms of where they're taking the club in. Their first thought when they went to that club should have been, we need to make this a solidly mid-table, like perennial League One team, which they haven't done at all. The only thing they've done that points you in the step of going towards being that perennial League One team, ironically enough, is the manager.
Yeah.
Quickly enough, considering our situation, is the manager. In terms of the players, it is very young. It's of guys, from my understanding, at least the main ones, who haven't played League One football before. So I think their intentions are good. I think their actions are naive. And I fully understand where the Strasbourg ultras are coming from, because watching them today, especially that second half, I understand they were against Monaco. There's no quality in that team. They stink. Like unless like the likes of Angelo turn up, or they get a rare bit of magic elsewhere, they stink. Like there's a lack of quality in that team.
I did just find another tweet that I totally forgot to read, and this is Mark Keller, the president, defending the whole ownership. So he says here, Blueco's arrival was essential to strengthening racing's competitiveness for years to come. Without that sale, the sporting project could have suffered. Change is scary, and it's important change. and it's an important change. I know that multi-club ownership concerns and has implications at national and even European levels. We are not in a hierarchy, though. Chelsea is a sister club. It sits above but not next to us. Racing remains racing. Strasbourg are currently just 1 point clear of relegation, and 2 ahead of relegation. Okay, so yeah, it's not looking good for them as of right now. Hopefully they get some good running games or something.
So shouldn't the league and experts speak on this, or
go for it, man? I mean, waiting for you to talk. You're over there all like, shy and shit, like just waiting.
Sorry,
go ahead, man.
Today is gonna be a day. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna mention anything else further. But listen, when it comes down to with Strasbourg, they I think they had a pretty good I would say start to the season. I would argue they were pretty good. But I think what's happened is in the January transfer window, the other teams that had kind of been going really bad kind of had a big change of form, whether that be obviously the team that I watch, Rennes, whether that be even Olympique Lyon had a big change in form now. You look at the other teams that are around them, Nantes, a lot of these guys are known, teams and players. But I think fundamentally though, the main issue is that, which I find confusing about when it comes to Strasbourg, is that Strasbourg have always been a second half table team anyway. I just feel like because Chelsea's there now, it's almost been magnified to a level that is it's almost been magnified to a level that it shouldn't be at, if that makes sense. Because
Ahmed, I think that's the point. Like the whole point, if you're being bought by new owners, especially richer owners, and for example, right, let's just have a look where. Give me a second. They haven't started. I'm just trying to basically what I'm looking at is the City Football Group teams, right? Girona are top of their table or a second. That's a team that got promoted from the second division last season. Like, and I'm not saying that Strasbourg have to be at the top, but I'm saying they're no better. They're in no better position than they were with their previous owner. The only difference is, like you mentioned, you want to look at the last transfer window. They sold one player, which was Sells, and signed one player, which was Santos. As I said, he's played 5 games. He's been in the squad for 5 games and has played about a combined 45 minutes across 5 games.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that slightly, but I think fundamentally though, the issue you're gonna have, whether people want to admit or not, Strasbourg, the reason why I do, and from what I know, the reason why they can't put in as much money as people would like to think is that obviously there's a few people, from what I know, firstly, and secondly, from what I also know. Secondly,
no wind tunnel there, Curry.
1 second, and secondly, the thing with the other thing is, they couldn't. They were actually on the brink of financial ruin. That's the reason why they were actually got bought for how cheap we bought them for. If you remember, we only bought them for. So the amount of money they can spend is already limited. So that's why for me, when we talk about why when it comes to Strasbourg, why isn't too much money being spent or anything like that? That's some of the reasons why we've obviously spoken about. I also think just bear me because I'm double checking now. I know there's a stat that I know there's a stat that Strasbourg have not finished from 10th or above only once in the last 7 years they've been there. So again, I feel like for me the issue is you're not gonna get immediate change, Scott, if that makes sense. It's not gonna happen immediately. You're not gonna go from where you were previously to where you are now. So you need to have some level of
move my forward.
And sorry, like if you don't mind me speaking, in terms of with Man City, right? Like they've only fully built out their scouting network. For example, Salvio wasn't bought by Girona. It was bought by another of their sister clubs, and it was their most expensive signing ever. And Salvio's never played for them. He got loaned out to other clubs such as Girona right away, right? And with us, it's like we haven't fully built ours out, right? And just like Ahmed was saying, and it's similar with, let's say, Newcastle, right? They have rich owners. They can't spend the money that they know they can because of those rich owners, because of FFP and other things of that nature, right? So it's I feel like it's a very similar situation where they have to slowly build that up, just like Newcastle, until they can spend more money or increase that FFP ruling for them.
Yeah.
Right.
No, Curry, I 100% agree in terms of the scouting network, but that's a bigger, that's a multi-club thing in terms of with a Chelsea as well. That's a different thing. I'm talking, for me, what they should have done with Strasbourg is, you get a couple of young players, which they have done, but they need to make them a solid, like, league and team. As I said, so to do that, you go and get the guys. They've made 4 or 5 signings this season. One of those players has played in League One before, and it was 2 seasons, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
I think fundamentally the issue
That's the point. Is like,
got
like
if
got no one, like they've got no one in their team where it's like they look like they think. And I'm just looking at other teams, by the way. And you said there's no immediate impact. Some of these leagues are going to be a bit odd, right? And I understand it's different. Melbourne City FC, who were Melbourne Heart, went from 10th to 5th. Their first year under the City Football Group. Their first season. And it's like, that's what I mean. Where like, if Strasbourg right now, well, let's just say like 9th. That's calm. That's a decent, successful season, because you've been mid-table, you've settled yourself after just getting promoted or being in a relegation battle last season. You've settled yourself. That's what I mean. The success in that nonsense and the scouting group and everything, that will come with time. I agree. My thing is they're trying to do the scouting thing at the same. Like, this is where I say they're rushing it. When it comes to
I agree with you, by the way.
They've rushed the multi-club thing from the day one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They've rushed the entire thing. Like, they keep trying to buy about 1 million teams, can't buy anyone. They've bought all the players that they need to loan to these teams. They can't loan anyone. Even when they are, as with Santos, it's not going well. Yeah. And it's like, you're trying to do way too much too soon. Yeah, and it's I think, like, say, for example, right? Just sorry, before you go. If we bought Sporting right now, or had a stake in Sporting, I expect the Sporting response would be similar. I'm going to be
probably. I could see that.
I think fundamentally, again, the issue that we're having right now is this. Obviously, barring the rush stuff, because we've said that, all of us here have said that multiple times on previous streams. Fundamentally, it's the issue is the approach, in my opinion, in the sense of you need to keep some level of experience. What they did, and I think they're failing to realize that, if that makes sense. Now, what I don't understand. What I think for me, you have the up and coming talent. Yes, you have a bunch of them, but if you keep 4, 5, 6 top tier talents that you sorry, not top tier talents, but like, talents that are going to be steady Eddies that are going to keep you looked after in place, that wouldn't necessarily be a problem. Now, I'm looking right now, at the finishes for Strasbourg in the last 20 years. So they really got back into League One, it seems, in 2021, which is the COVID season. So they finished 15th. Obviously, they finished, the highest finish again was 6th, and that was in 21-22. Last season they finished 15th, and currently is it 15th or 14th in the table? I think it's one of those two. But yeah, they're currently 14th. So I just showed that to show you it's not anything out of the ordinary, if that makes sense. But I think fundamentally, though, Scott is right, and I agree with him. Something we've all said before is that they're trying to hit the speed run button. But the problem is, you can only hit the speed run button if you have the clubs already ready for you. And you don't have the clubs ready for you. You don't have the clubs ready for you. You don't have enough loan spots to do what you need to do either. So that's the problem, man.
That's why, we talk about the whole multi-club model and the loans and all that stuff. I kind of want to see what happens next season, because there are a lot of these deadwood players that we still have coming back that have taken up loans, and the transfers haven't gone the way they're supposed to. I think next season or this summer, when they finally go, there's less excuses now as to why Santos didn't get a loan, or why this player is still at Chelsea and just rotting on the bench, and so on and so forth. So I agree with you guys completely. I think we are rushing on a lot of fronts, and I think as a result, the quality's not there, the execution's not been great, and it's like we're hurting a lot of players' careers as a result as well, and even the clubs. So I think, again, next season is going to be for me the real, like, I'm going to look at this through a fine through comb and really see if they're executing the way they should. Again, this is a long-term project. This is going to take time to perfect it, but I need to see some progress in the right direction next season in order for me to actually be invested and really believe that this project's going to work out in the long run. Because right now, I'm hoping. I'm just, and not just me. I mean, I think a lot of you guys are on that hopium that this really, really works out and that we don't just become another Nottingham Forest. Like, knock on wood, I really hope that's not the case. So, I mean, any other thoughts on this, guys, before we move on to the next segment?
Sure.
Really,
like my,
bro. Oh, God, Corey.
sorry, my thing is, I think we just need to increase the loan success rate. Like for example, like we can say the Andre Santos deal in the winter went bad, but then we can say the pivot to Datro Fofana right now, who scored a goal again today, is going pretty decent when he's playing at Burnley. So like that's the thing, right? Like let's increase our hit rate in a sense for loans from, let's say, the current 25%, for example, because, you know, Amari Hutchinson is doing decent, Angelo is doing decent. I think Webster was okay as well. And then Fofana is doing decent. So let's increase that to, let's say, from 25% to like a 40% next summer, and then keep on increasing that slowly. Because like hopefully by then we will also start buying at least one more club in the next 1 year to 1.5 years at the very least, so that at least we can have 3 clubs to, like, you know, go back and forth with.
We need to start having some hits on the managerial side as well, because I'm hearing that Vieira apparently isn't inspiring anything in terms of confidence or whatnot.
Damn, I thought he was the one positive about that team. Never mind.
Well, so I've heard. This second-hand account, Scott. I can't say for myself.
I thought he was the one part of that team. As I said, ironically enough, that was actually doing well. Too.
Just before we continue, big up to everyone watching. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to smash up the like button and subscribe to either wherever you're watching, either Casually FC or the Bridge 258. And if you're watching on Twitter, give it a like or a retweet, and I hope you're enjoying the show. So let's go on to the next portion I have here for you guys, which is going to be talking about our relationship with Brighton. So there's been a lot of there's been a big trend, right, that we've seen, that we seem to just love going for Brighton staff. And it's almost like, the Clearlake Consortium should have probably purchased Brighton instead of Chelsea. But let's see what is being said here and go from there. So Ben Jacobs here reporting, Brighton CEO Paul Barber to Athletic on his relationship with Chelsea. Todd Boehly was one of the first people at Wembley to come and say hello. We joked about the fact that Tony Bloom and I were both wearing red ties. He's a nice guy. He is a very successful businessman. Yes, we've probably had a few too many dealings with each other than I would have liked, and that he would have liked probably, but that's business. Tony and I have a good relationship with Todd and Big Dad. We understand that we are in a competitive world. We are not going to get too emotional over individuals leaving because the club is bigger than any one individual. The club is bigger than 11 or 12 individuals in the case of Chelsea. Jesus Christ. When you put it that way. It's flattering in a way that a big club with good history is coming after our people. It's annoying in other ways, but we are also realistic that people who are doing good jobs with growing profiles will potentially be poached by bigger clubs with more wages or opportunities to offer. It just so happens that Cobham is closer to Brighton than pretty much any other Premier League training ground, which is a bit frustrating because it means it's an easy move for some of our people, which, to be fair, that is actually something that people don't look into. Obviously, if you're going to move from one job to the other, commuting, and if it's close enough, then, you know, people are more likely to say yes to the opportunity to go to Chelsea. If this was like, I don't know, if we were Manchester United and we were going for Brighton, then maybe you don't see these moves happening or being executed as often. But it seems like we still have a really good relationship with Brighton, and it seems that, you know, we're still going to be doing business with them, which I'm not a big fan of, considering how much these prices are so overinflated when it comes to getting players from them, and how I feel like our success rate has not been that well. We're looking at players like Cucurella potentially in that conversation. Caicedo's probably been, according to some people's opinions, under delivering.
Potter.
We have Westwood Stanley, Potter as well. So I don't know, guys. Thoughts on this healthy relationship between Brighton and Chelsea? Okay. Nonsense in what sense? That you don't think it's
what's been
true?
said is not in terms of what Paul Barber said, just nonsense in terms of like that it matters.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's kind of fair.
Like, no one's talking about the fact. So I take it everyone's seen the Edwards news, the Michael Edwards news.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That he's likely to go to Liverpool?
The guy he's bringing with him to be the director of football, does anyone know where he's coming from?
No.
Crystal Palace, no? Is
Bournemouth.
it
Bournemouth, right?
Or
Yeah,
Bournemouth,
Bournemouth, yeah.
I was going to say, talking to Palace, does anyone know who what's his
United's
name?
going up.
Jim Ratcliffe is looking at
United.
his director of football for United. It's Dougie Friedman, director.
And then Ashworth is going there as well from
Ashworth,
Brighton.
who worked for Brighton previously and is working at Newcastle. Yes, we've had a lot of people from Brighton, but people have to realise, or people have to use common sense to think about. Look at who that includes, right? One's a director of football, as I've just shown you, that happens normally, and also considering that Brighton's recruitment has been talked about for the past, what are we talking, like 4 or 5 years?
Wow.
Yeah, like, is anyone surprised that, some of Brighton's staff have been looked at a top club, a theoretical top club at least? Then you look at the fact that half of those 11, 12 people that you mentioned are all staff members that came with Graham Potter. Again, that normally happens. The manager takes over a new club. They normally take a lot of staff. Tuchel took like 3-4 people from his last job to Chelsea when he came. Pochettino. Are we going to talk about the fact that, like, I'd say at least 7 or 8 people at the club are former Tottenham employees?
That's fair.
I was just gonna say,
That is
like,
fair.
I don't want to keep going for the players though, like Ferguson or something like that, or even De Zerbi. I don't think De Zerbi, like, because I know we apparently been looking at De Zerbi. I just don't want to like keep going for stuff like that. Like, it's just go get. If we keep like doing all this, I feel like it's just gonna be the same answers. Like, we're gonna be like somewhat struggling anyway, because like Ferguson obviously isn't good enough, but apparently we're looking at him. That's probably bullshit anyway, but I don't think De Zerbi's definitely not bullshit. Like, like us looking at De Zerbi. I don't know. I kind of want us to like kind of step back from like Brighton right now, because we have done a lot like with Brighton. I think we can look somewhere else instead of just Brighton.
I get that to an extent, but we're doing this weird hybrid of like Liverpool and Man City. Like, we're doing the multi-club model of Man City, but then we're buying Brighton players like we did with Liverpool and Southampton, right? They got Van Dijk, they got Mane, they got Nathaniel Klein, they got Lallana. So it's like this weird hybrid thing we're doing, where it's like we are doing the whole like Southampton thing with Liverpool, but then we're also doing this weird multi-club model. So it's like we're trying to build this weird hybrid of the two, I guess, best teams. I guess that's what they're using as a template. It looks like to me.
Well, hey, at least they had good managers behind both approaches, unlike us.
I was going to also wait like for Chelsea just to end up with the same points as Brighton this season, man. Like,
fundamentally, the issue that you have again, and it comes back to this year, is with Stanley and Stuart, bro. Like, I don't know how are decisions being made by Chelsea? Are they actually the ones that are making decisions? Are they really, or are they just puppets? Because one thing I've been thinking about is that there is this idea that they keep on saying a collaborative thing. So if it's collaborative, then that includes the owners, that includes the sporting directors. Obviously, they've got Joe Shields, who's like it seems like a senior advisor, if anything, at this point. So what is going on there? Do you get what I'm saying to you? So fundamentally, I don't even know if Stuart and Stanley are the ones that are doing the job. Like, we need to be real about that. Like, no one, like, Matt Law he's all well and big up to him. Listen, not big up to him, sorry. I said he's all well and good that he can report on the ownership, yeah. But bro, this guy barely talks about how the structure actually works. Like, can you actually do some journalistic thing for us, please? Or any guy, whether it be him, the Nizar guy, whoever else, can they actually do a thing where they can tell us about Stuart and West Ham? The only thing I've ever heard from Matt Law is that Stuart likes to get stuck in with his fellow employees, and Stanley likes isn't the same. I mean, what does that mean to mean? Well, one of them is one of the lads, and then the other one's not. Like, I need to understand how it works, man. No, but
Yeah, I mean,
because that fundamentally, I think, is the issue, right? Because I feel like as fans, yes, I don't need to necessarily know how everything goes, but fundamentally, though, you know, it's so confusing what's going on right now that I don't know. You keep because like every time you hear Matt Law report it, it's collaborative effort. Nizar Kinsella, collaborative effort. You hear Simon Jordan, Liam Toomey of the Athletic, collaborative effort. They never really speak here on who's truly making the decision. Like we don't have like an actual bang decision maker. It's almost
no,
like
but don't we? But have there been reports? I think in the past, like, hey, like when Stanley or someone does the loans, and the other guy pays attention to regular scouting.
Yeah, there was a report.
There has been some bang, like separation of church and state kind of thing of like this guy really is into this. Like there still is a quote unquote collaboration, but one guy hones into this
that
more.
Changed, but the thing is, that was in January. That was when we kind of understood. That's what they were saying in January. But from January to now, situation has changed. Vivell has left the club.
No, that was before Vivell. No, those reports were after Vivell. Vivell had left not in January. He left way before. This is recent reports, not like way back when. This is after Vivell left. Vivell left like almost like in the summer or something, dude. This is reports like a month ago.
No. I'm not. I'm saying to you the report that from what I remember about Stuart doing the stuff in terms of like sales and loans. That was back in this time in January when they were bringing these guys in. Like that was the idea. No, that's what I always thought it was personally. But maybe I'm thinking it's. And I'm not even talking about Jurasek, but the CEO stuff is not for me. I don't really care. That's again non-sport inside CEO stuff. The problem I'm looking at is actually the football department because it seems that the ownership has a heavy, what's it called, level of action. Particularly Boehly, what we're seeing report. Stuart and Stanley passing the names and he's saying, I like this guy. It might just be that, bro. I know that's a bit toxic to say. It does bring about
microphone.
Yeah, your microphone is not agreeing with you today.
I kind of understood you, but you lost you towards the end there.
Okay, so where was I when you last understood me?
Kind of the beginning. To be honest, you kept on going in and out so much.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Just say it again.
problem, but thank God.
You got
No,
this.
I think fundamentally the issue that we're So I think fundamentally the issue you're gonna have here is that I'm not talking about the non-football side. So what I mean by that is that I don't care about Jurasek, that stuff. He's doing his job. It seems like if you look at the balance sheet, whatever you want to call it, then we're making more money from actual sponsorship and everything like that standpoint. So he's doing his job. The problem for me, is the actual football side. That's the director of football. That's with Stanley Stewart. Then there's obviously you got Joe Shields there. Then Rumba, the guy I spoke about to you, who they got out of the academy. And then there's the ownership. Now again, Cole Palmer, if you remember specifically, was brought about via a collaborative effort. Remember, it was the owners and the directors of football that came to that decision by Cole Palmer. And apparently there were similar decisions being made previously too. So if that is the case, are we maybe in a situation where the ownership is the one that are really choosing who's coming in and who's not coming in? They just get given the sheet of each player, their statistics, and then just like bang.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to pay for the players.
No. But then we run into a fundamental issue if that is the case, by the way, because they shouldn't really involved. But they shouldn't be involved, though, bro. That's the problem. Because like, if we are truly being honest about this, they shouldn't be touching the football side at all. They should be saying, "We want this. We want you to be bringing this." And if that's the case, bro, that's where we run into the problem, innit? That's a problem.
But okay. I'm not saying this was any better, but isn't that kind of what we did with Roman? Like we kind of found the players, and then Roman would kind of give the stamp of approval of like, okay, bring him in
dude, Shevchenko, Crespo, like Higuain, Falcao, those are all him heavily handed. We're freaking bringing those guys in.
And Marshall, explain to me what happened post 2014 after Imanara left.
No. I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying it was right or it was the best way to go about it, but it seems to me that seems to be how a lot of these people go about doing their business. Even Man City, to a certain extent, I feel like does that. Or actually, maybe Pep actually does have a lot more of a finger on the scale for that. But I feel that well, going back to what you're saying about Cole Palmer, like Joe Shields had an involvement in that for sure. So there was a collaborative effort, but then finding these players and identifying them and then going to the owners and being like, here, we have these 3 players. What tickles your fancy? I mean, isn't that kind of more so like isn't the job of the scouting department and the directors of football to make it foolproof so that, hey, depending on which one you pick and the salaries that you want to abide to and all that stuff, it should work out regardless.
Yeah, and wasn't Disasi and Barry Shield the same? Because they're from Monaco. So they were either by Paul Stanley or something, or one of those. But guys.
I just think fundamentally we have the issue in terms of who's making the final decision, and I feel like the ownership should not be getting involved in that at all. They shouldn't be getting involved in that at all. And
the ownership should just be there to provide the budget.
Exactly.
Quite simply.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. Then it's a budget.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's up to the directors to compile all the scouting information and assess the value of players, and then collaborate with the manager to find fits.
Exactly. And for me again, this is something I'm going to repeat again. And for me again, this fundamentally also, is a big issue because it just means that the football directors can just pass blame onto the ownership essentially. But listen, you guys said you wanted this guy. We brought him for you. We gave you the data. And so they essentially don't have any. What's it called? They don't put any blame on themselves.
It would certainly explain signings like Mudryk. I can't lie.
Right, and I'll be honest with you. Again, the Mudryk signing, whether people wanted to be or not, that was definitely an ownership signing. Bro. The fact that the owner—that's
what I feel. Yeah.
Went to, the fact. Remember, I told you by the way this year. You said to me, "No, but the directors are here." But when I was telling you this year,
I don't think I said that, but okay.
Yes, you did. We've got proof.
Receipts, people, receipts.
Yes. Remember when I've said this before, and Chris can even back me up on this, when I've said, every other signing, made sense from a data analytical point of view when they were buying them in January, except of Mudryk, because Mudryk, our own owner flew to Ukraine, Poland. Sorry,
they met in Warsaw, I think.
Poland. That's why I corrected myself. Poland, to literally get that deal done within 1 day.
Yeah, I mean the reason I think that it wasn't a recruit or director signing is because I remember that link with Mudryk happening very early in that January transfer window, and at that time the way the Boehly was moving was he was poaching these deals and hijacking as many deals as possible because, I mean, to be fair, he had limited knowledge, so he was going based off the hype really, which we saw. And it seemed like it was a Boehly signing, which then the directors kind of just yes man them. It was like, okay, yeah, this is a good player. And then they just went for him. And now in hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best signing. It wasn't fitting for the team. That's how I felt about it.
I think the question we're raising here, though, is that did the director's input matter?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. And
I do think to an extent, no. Because we got Cole Palmer, we got Disasi, we got Barry Shield. That didn't just come out of nowhere. And Gusto too. I'm sorry, I don't think Todd Boehly is like, you know what? I've been scouting Lyon, and Gusto's the guy we should sign as a replacement. It has to be one of those guys, right?
This is what's baffling, though. It's so inconsistent.
There's no way.
That's the baffling thing, though. It's so inconsistent. Like you can see one instance where there's heavy evidence for it being maybe the owner or someone from higher up overriding the directors. Then there are other instances where they've gone and bought from their previous clubs where there will be pre-existing relationships. So there's just, as with most things at the club, there's just, there's no consistency between any of it. You can't really join the dots.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the directors definitely have more of a say now than what was happening earlier in the season prior to January of last year. Obviously because they weren't here, but I don't think I don't think Bali is probably asking them to recruit younger and unfound talent, but obviously I don't think Bali's the one picking the players. I just don't think his football knowledge is that
bro.
intimate.
I genuinely, I have a slight feeling in the back of my head.
You'll be surprised.
It's taking place, bro, because there's been a lot of emphasis here recently on the fact that Iqbal has been taken over Strasbourg, been looking after that one under sport and stuff that's been happening there. He's been here for the day-to-day when it comes to Chelsea Football Club as well. So for me, it wouldn't surprise me if he's been making a lot of the big decisions recently, honestly.
And there is
I don't think he's. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, there is evidence of this elsewhere though. Like, and
Yes,
the example I'm about to use isn't the fact that it's two American owners, but Ed Woodward with the Glazers. Ed Woodward definitely picked players at Manchester United. So there is evidence, and Ed Woodward's just he's a banker or an investor or whatever he is. He's not.
Yes,
you know.
and the thing is fundamentally these guys here. The thing is fundamentally whether I want to admit or not, we are hearing this stuff, Marshall. We are hearing he's the guy that's behind Strasbourg, by the way, and they're 1 point away from getting locked up. And he apparently is also a part of the day-to-day stuff at Chelsea, and he's the one that's the heavy hand. We know Boehly apparently is in America just chilling. So whether you want to admit or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to avoid accepting it. Like I don't know.
I don't know, but the thing is, Marshall, bro, at the end of the day, bro, whether I want to like it or not, we have to admit what the reality is, what the facts are, bro. And that is for me, the prevailing reality that is currently that's currently happening. Whether we want to admit it or not is another thing entirely, bro.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that. It's Baghdad Bali that's like, not scouting per se, but he's the one like, hey, what is this player? How does this player look and all this and that, and going to Winstanley or Lawrence Stewart for approval or something. Like, I don't know. It just seems that it seems to me like if maybe I don't, but what I'm the way I see it, the way I think it's structured is that I think it's just Baghdad Bali saying, hey, I want these style of players. There's actually an age restriction. There's actually like a monetary restriction, and Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart have to work with that. That's how it feels to me.
But do you not think that's wrong then to have an age restriction though? That's the problem though, isn't it?
I think it is. No, yeah, I agree. I think it is wrong.
And the thing we're talking about, by the way, I don't think you're getting this, by the way, is that we are basically saying to you this: Baghdad is not asking for style of play. Would they be a Stewart? Would they be Winstanley? I forgot the other guy, right? Joe Shields. Yeah, they're doing the scout and everything. They just bring him the players, and then he's just picking them, like almost from what we're getting at.
Yeah, that's where I disagree. That's where I think it's like.
Bro. And I genuinely believe, bro. I genuinely believe that's happening, bro. Because again, you look at Strasbourg. Apparently, he's the one that's leading Strasbourg. He's the one that's doing the sporting side of Strasbourg too, by the way.
Yeah.
And you can see the result of that. So what's to say? His biggest investment, 4.25 billion, 60% transfer stake in it. He has investors that he has to pay back to as well.
100%.
What's to say he's not doing that too? Like, come on, bro. And the signs are really pointing towards that as well. But like, listen, and again, this is not even me trying to be a dickhead or something like that, bro. This is just like, from the evidence we have, that's what it looks like to me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess time will tell if we ever get full transparency on this stuff, because I think, going on to the earlier point that you were saying, right? I think Chelsea fans want a little bit more transparency as to what the plan is, what's going on, and what the idea is going forward. Because, me and Scott have talked about this relentlessly. What's the plan with the loans? We've talked about what is going on exactly with the new stadium, so on and so forth. With so many things, like we have so many questions. We don't know what the plan is. We don't know what they're trying to do going forward. And, a lot of the fan base have no reason to believe that it's going to go well, because it hasn't been going well so far. So I think having a little bit of transparency would help a lot.
I just want to say,
okay, sorry.
Adam, can you go to Adam's comment? It's the last
Adam?
comment. Yeah. Iqbali runs Clearlake. Where does he get the time to run Strasbourg? Iqbali is a joint. Is joint. Him and Feliciano do it. Who's also 60% stake in this club as well. So he's probably running the running that while he's doing Chelsea, basically, if that makes sense.
What were we gonna say, Curry Pirate? No, we'll close it up on your final thoughts.
I was gonna say, it's a bit murky to know who's in full control of this, because it's not like Perez, right, with Real Madrid during the Galacticos, where you're like, we know he's going for that project and signing the best players in the world and this and that. It's a bit murky because, like Oliver was saying, it's like we can see some signings that are very director based and some that could be like ownership, specifically Iqbali based, right? So it's just like, it's just hard to tell right now, more than anything else, I would say.
Yeah, I really hope that there is something in the future where the owners come out and do an interview or something in regards to Chelsea. And like and someone said it, I think it was Eunice I was listening to earlier, where, you know, Roman didn't really talk much, but that's because there was results on the pitch and he didn't need to talk. But when you have a club as big as Chelsea and the way it's being run, and where it's at right now, the fans are going to have questions, and without the questions being answered, there's going to be assumptions, and we're going to be angry because a lot of these fans, obviously, whether they listen to propaganda or whether they are, you know, Boehly through and through, they're going to jump into assumptions that may be wrong, and that could lead to just more disgruntled fans and more disconnected fan base. Let's go on to the next topic. That was a good discussion, boys.
Sorry, can I say last thing?
Yeah, go
sorry
ahead.
about this. Last thing is, if they want to learn something else from Man City, it's what Man City does, right? They have like an autopsy report every season, and they publish that video, right? Like the ownership of Man City does like, hey, we achieved this goal. Like when they didn't win the Champions League, they were like, hey, we won the league, credit to us, this and that. And then they're like, yeah, but we're still pushing for the Champions League. That's our goal. And they send a video out every season updating about what their club's vision is and how to refresh and everything like that, right? And that's
even something like that would be
themselves.
nice.
So if they would do that,
even
that would
something,
really help out. First, build a bond, because these the Man City ownership had to do the same, right? They're gonna have distrust. That was like the first big time where quote unquote oil money came in terms of from the Middle East into the Prem, and it's like they had to build that trust, and they built it because of things like that, right? Obviously investing in the community, but also doing these yearly videos about their progression, where they want to be in the short term and long term. So that's what I think they should learn too.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would appreciate that as a fan. But before we continue, about 60 of you guys are watching on YouTube. Well, we're only at 24 likes, so let's see if we can get to 30 likes. Much appreciated. Same thing goes for the Bridge 258. We can get those likes up. But all right, let's go ahead and continue on. Let's talk about some managers. There's been a bit of we're just going to call this the manager roundup section, because there's been links, there's discussions happening, there's rumors going about. Let's start off with what we already know, which is Chelsea's desire to wait until the end of the season before reviewing Mauricio Pochettino's position has not stopped the club from identifying Ruben Amorim and Roberto De Zerbi as potential replacements for the Argentinian. This is coming from Jacob Steinberg. Then we move on to the next part, is Chelsea has respect for both Ruben Amorim and Roberto De Zerbi. However, neither is being pursued at the moment. Chelsea want to finish the season strong with Mauricio Pochettino, with a strong desire to make it work. And this leads me to the fear that I have that they might just stick with this guy till next season. But who knows? We'll discuss. Clubs looking at Roberto De Zerbi as a potential next manager will have to pay a compensation upwards of 12 million pounds to secure the Italian from Brighton in the summer, according to Mike McGrath. We move here. Chelsea fans singing for Jose Mourinho should not expect a reunion, with sources on both sides playing down the chances of the three-time Premier League winner ever returning to Stamford Bridge. Then another one confirming here, one individual involved in the Chelsea project suggested it would send the wrong message if they returned to the face of the old ownership and hired Jose Mourinho. That's coming from Karen Gill. Then we have here more bits of story here. Chelsea insists they are still backing Pochettino. The hierarchy are naturally wary of what happened last season when they sacked Graham Potter in April and won only one of the remaining 10 Premier League games to finish 12th. Next part here is Chelsea remain determined not to make any knee-jerk decisions, and key figures within the hierarchy are still supportive of Mauricio Pochettino. Although results and performances have not been consistent. Although results and performances have been inconsistent, there is a view that the side is moving in the right direction, according to Jacob Steinberg, which, okay, well, maybe. All right, then we have here, it's understood if Chelsea make a change of manager, they will move in a different direction. De Zerbi also is not thought to be looking at a potential Chelsea move as a priority. Hansi Flick, Julian Lopetegui could be looked at, even Eddie Howe. Chris, I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. Then we have here breaking. A source mentioned ex-Leeds manager Jesse Marsch as a potential interim option, according to Simon Phillips here. And PYS also saying right here, worked with Nkunku, ex-Red Bull model, which they like, and American could definitely see this happening if worse comes to worse in the next few games, which, yeah, I mean, I think that's a little logical. That could be a potential. We'll see what happens. And then lastly here, Thomas Tuchel can imagine returning to Chelsea, but his primary goal is Manchester United. So according to Pletigol, Build and CF Bayern here, this could be just Tuchel's PR, to be honest. I think Tuchel does want to come back to Chelsea, but it's just a matter of the owner's decision. But yeah, he could potentially be returning to Chelsea. But let's
By the
go to
way,
Chris. Yeah,
just before he goes, it's also been reported that Tuchel would like to go to Barcelona.
Yeah, I did see that as well. Chris, would you take Eddie Howe?
You know I wouldn't take Eddie Howe. I don't want...
Why is that, Chris?
Because one, as an English guy, fuck the English managers. I'm done with English managers.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Whoa. Xenophobic.
I think Eddie Howe. Yeah, no.
Little self-afflicted xenophobe.
I think he is actually the best English manager out there, but I don't want no English manager. No offense, I've had my luck on the English managers. Potter didn't work out, Lampard didn't work out. I don't want no more. Look at England. None of the English managers work out there. I just don't want it. And look at Newcastle right now. They're falling apart, and I'm seeing
look at the surfs.
I'm seeing Newcastle fans starting to fall in love about Eddie Howe as well. Like, I don't know what they're doing right now. Like, their structure doesn't seem that great either. They're just as bad as us this season, pretty much. So, like, I don't want him. Like, there's other managers out there. I'd rather try a luck on Amron. Like, just because we know who Eddie Howe is, I'd rather just like, we don't need to go for that. I don't want him.
But
I don't think anyone else really wants him.
But Chris, do you think that if Potter had the structure that we have now with Poch, do you think that he probably would have been a little bit more successful with the players and the staff?
Honestly, he probably would do a little bit better than Poch. Like, I think 11th place is like, there isn't much worse you can get than that. Maybe fighting relegation, but I don't think Eddie Howe will be that bad. But he's not. I don't think he's just the right man just to go forward now. Like, it's just, what's the point? I'd rather bring back Jose. In all fairness, like, Jose would be a better manager than Eddie Howe, I think. But nah, don't give me Eddie Howe, because I could be depressed. Like, I may as well just keep Poch. Like, it's not gonna be much better, I don't think. I don't see it. Like, he hasn't done he did get top 4 for Newcastle, and that is good. But so did Lampard get top 4 of Chelsea with a transfer ban. Is that really impressive? Not really.
I mean, we're talking Chelsea level versus where Newcastle was before they got acquired.
No, but they were
season.
signing players. They got Bruno Guimaraes, they got like Isaac, they got Gordon, and they got even an Amron. I think he's in there for a good while, but they got Botman or whatever his name is, Bottas or whatever his name is. The Dutch
Botman.
Botman.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, we're looking at.
Yeah, they got obviously Trippier.
Really?
They got players in. They got Pope as well, who's a decent keeper as well. Like, I'm not
Bruno
sure. Their
too.
left backs. Yeah. I thought I said Bruno Guimaraes. Anyway, yeah, he's obviously one of the most important signings anyway. They brought in players. Like, it is a decent team. Like, it's not a bad team no more. So he's just not the man to take Newcastle any further anymore. And he shouldn't be the man to take Chelsea, from where we are now. So I don't want him.
Daddy Tooks. Marshall's Daddy Tooks, isn't it? Isn't
I want Daddy Tooks.
I'll take Duke. I'll take.
Yo.
Look what you've done. Look what you've done.
Yeah, man. Man don't need to get their arse whooped, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Whoa, whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's going on, man? Chill out, big man.
Look at that
So,
list, yeah. Wait, where's Eddie Howe? I didn't even see Eddie Howe.
Felix Johnston apparently has a list here. Listen, he has insights. Maybe this is right, maybe this is inaccurate, but apparently, according to his list, the managers being considered are Hansi Flick, Amorim. Michael Sanchez is the one for Girona,
Michel.
right? Oh, okay. No, I was totally wrong about that. Oh, it's Michel Sanchez. Sorry.
Yes,
He is
Michel, and
Girona.
yes, he's Girona's manager.
Okay, gotcha. De Zerbi, Mourinho, Xabi Alonso, and Sebastian Hoeneß.
Ernest. Yeah, Ernest.
Who is he?
The Stuttgart manager.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marshall,
I already
man,
don't think this is an accurate list because I see Mourinho on there, but okay.
Why is Mourinho not
Reverse,
acting?
man. Reverse. You've gone back, man. Can't even say the names correctly anymore. Damn.
Sebastian Hoeneß. I said it right.
All right, big man. All right, buddy. Now, but listen, if you're gonna look at that list, boys, does that inspire you?
Hansi Flick. He's okay.
I'll be real.
There's some good ones in there.
Hot take by me.
Yeah.
I'm not inspired by any of them, and
Not Xabi Alonso, actually. Xabi Alonso's a great manager.
I feel like for me, I just feel like I feel like I remain neutral on all of them, if that makes sense. Where I don't really mind, but it's not like something that's gonna, you know, it's not like it's gonna, what's it called, something that's gonna be a game changer. I don't know, man. Maybe
But what manager? Oh, you're not okay. Hold on. So is this you saying that, like, because the way I'm thinking about it, I feel like you, no matter what manager we get, aren't going to be content until the directors are changed.
Again, fundamentally, that's the issue you have, isn't it? Yeah. The fundamental issue you have before we even get to the manager is, do these directors have power? And B, you gotta have to, whether we like it or not, you gotta give these managers some form of power to get some of the players that they may actually ask for.
But the thing is that I disagree with that to a certain extent. Like, I think the manager should ask for a position, right? So, like, you know, Pochettino, he should say, "Hey, I want a striker," and then the scouting department should be able to scout strikers for him. I don't want like a name per name request, because then if we get Tuchel back, knock on wood. I'm just saying, like, if we were to get Tuchel back,
but
you know, it's talent ID shit.
The issue that we're having though, bro, is that we're doing the scouting, and listen, Jackson's number one fan is here. Yeah? I'm Jackson's number one fan. But if we're being serious in a big club, Jackson should have been the one that we should have been going for.
But the thing is, though, like, Jackson was never going to be the number one target. We knew we got him as a backup.
No. But that's the thing, though. But the reality is, yeah, we needed a number one striker, and we got a guy that's currently in need of development. That's the issue, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
I'm giving you just an example position, by the way. That's just an example position.
I know you're being an example position, but like, I feel like even if we're still talking on the striker situation, right? I feel like you're being a little unfair towards the recruitment, because even in the summer, who are we gonna get that was like a number one striker?
Okay, maybe wrong position to look at. Let me think again.
Another position we're missing is left back. That was overlooked.
Wait. Left back. I would say there's a very good, fair, and decent amount of left backs that we could have gotten, right? But fundamentally, you know, if the ownership were to come back with you, with a bunch of 20-year-old kids, that is that fair on the manager when you probably need an actual star that's a bit more that is a bit more of a known entity, if that makes sense. You'd probably want a star there. You already have Reece James, who's a star right back, and Gusto is already a star up and coming right back. You'd probably want a star left back. I think Chilwell as a backup is okay.
I don't disagree. Well, now he's injured, but I mean, we'll discuss. But yeah, but
and like today, bro, I just saw something. Yeah, someone just said, we should put up the Deutsche Maestro banner right now for to basically, which is the Tuchel banner, by the way. Just wanna confirm that with people, and these guys need a slap on the face, bro. They need to, like, again, the reason why people want Tuchel, and this is for all of everyone here, and I'm pretty sure if I say this, everyone's going to agree, is because of the memories and the vibes. Because the way Tuchel spoke, you obviously felt that the manager had some level of a connection with the fan base. That was really what it was, bro. Okay, but now the reality is, I don't need a manager that's going to be a connection to me. I need a manager. We need a manager right now that's going to be able to do a job. And I feel like we at times we confuse nostalgia and good memories with what the reality of the situation we are in right now is. It's as simple as that, boys.
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, I feel like,
bro, just because the ex guy could have improved the team does not mean we should be going back to the ex guy. You know what I mean? Rule number one, in relationship, for the vast majority of the time, never go back to your ex, because it never ends well. You know what I mean? We should have seen that with Mourinho. Big up Mourinho. He won the Premier League, but we saw how it ended again. We were the streets. Remember how it ended? Do you remember?
Yeah. No, I know how it ended.
Listen again. Another guy we can speak about. Big up.
But
Captain. Listen, another one. Wait. Let me finish here. Captain, leader, legend, Frank Lampard.
Mm-hmm.
Second time he came in, we saw how that ended too. That's all I have to say, man.
I mean, listen, I get where you're coming from, and I'll let someone else speak on this as well. I just think my 2 cents on this is, if, for example, let's just say, because there's a big list here, okay? There's a bunch of managers that are now on the radar, and this summer is going to be a big opportunity to pick up a manager if we decide to do that. But my reasoning with Tuchel, right? Like, you're not wrong. Obviously, it is, a lot of it's nostalgia, what he's done for the club. I think a big part of it is, though, he would do really well to unite the fan base. And my reasoning for why I think that's important is because we've seen how these owners buckle when the fan base are not happy. And so in that instance, if we want someone, and the other thing too, even if we do bring back Tuchel, yes, I understand the football's not great. I 100% understand that. He is getting results here and there, but he's also now being brought into a different scenario, and the club is more set up to cater to him than it was before, where we were annoying him about, hey, do you want Ronaldo? Do you want this? Like, he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to do the coaching. Okay. So now, hold on. Let me just land. And then I want to let other people talk and discuss, obviously, on these other links. So it's like, now it's more set up for Tuchel's style or what he wants to do than before. But I'm not saying Tuchel should be the guy, but I think whoever the guy that comes in, I think being able to, unite the fan base is going to be a big part of whether or not he stays long enough, because we're seeing what's happening with Pochettino. We will discuss what's going on with Pochettino. Right now, the fan base is insanely divided, and Poch is not making it any better for himself. At least, someone like Lampard or Amorim, I hope, and so on and so forth, they know what to say. They know how to, keep the... Not make it as hot as it should be, but I mean, I definitely give the stage to anyone else who would like to put their 2 cents on any of these managers.
Okay, so Marshall, I'm just gonna make one minor rebuttal, and then everyone else can go.
Yeah, go for it.
We shouldn't care, in my personal opinion, about what connects the fan base. You know what I mean? United is a good example of this. Yeah, they tried to bring in Oli, to bring the fan base together. After what happened, I think it was after Mourinho, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and you saw what happened after that. For me, fundamentally speaking, I don't need you to bring the fan base together. You can bring the fan base together just by winning at this point. We just need a guy that's going to be able to do that for me personally. That's all it is.
I mean, I'm just curious, Scott, because I haven't really heard you talk much about the whole De Zerbi thing. I know you do like De Zerbi, and you probably would want De Zerbi, but I mean, how do you feel about him potentially coming to Chelsea, if that's even possible? And do you think there's any importance with uniting the fan base on this as well?
On the fan base thing, no. Just because I think this fan base, as is the case with most fan bases, are a bunch of pussies and bitches.
Okay.
And if you take offense to that, then the shoe fits.
Yeah.
I think if And the problem I have, if you're pandering to this fan base, to me, it shows kind of no backbone in the sense of like the big thing for me, right? I don't care if I don't agree with all your decisions. All I need to understand is there are conviction behind your decisions, right? I need to understand that there is a reason for you doing this. If you're willing to change your mind on a whim because a few people are upset, then you have no conviction. Like, you have no conviction at all. See, I would say appoint whoever is best for the team. Fuck what the fan base say. Like, the fan base might not want De Zerbi, but based on the way our squad is like currently set up in terms of the players we have, our team is most set up for De Zerbi.
Okay.
You mean because of our midfield and stuff, or like that?
Not just midfield. I think the defense.
We need another. We would need
I think
another
the attack.
goalkeeper,
I think
probably.
most of the players we have in the team is set up for De Zerbi in the way he wants to play in terms of formation as well.
Yeah, he does like the 4-2-3-1, doesn't he? A lot. So yeah.
Not even just that. I just think he fits kind of more the team. There's like other managers who would fit. I think our team could fit into an Amorim system as well. There might have to be a couple of changes here and there, but I think that could work. But yeah, at the end of the day, when it comes to managers as well, I don't listen to anything Ben Jacobs says. Anything he says is a load of nonsense. He was the same person last season saying that Potter won't be sacked in a space. At the same time, Potter was literally being sacked by Chelsea Football Club. So don't believe anything he says on managers. It's most likely bollocks. But yeah, so I don't. When it comes to managers as well, at the moment, I don't really care that much, just because I don't think it's going to matter until the summer. I hope at the moment they're doing their due diligence. They're getting their the person in place. Say, for example, you want Flick, get that done now, because then he can't go to Barca, he can't go elsewhere. So yeah, or if you want De Zerbi, get that sorted now. So do you know he won't come until the summer, but he's going to come in the summer. We know what we need to do between now and then to make sure that everything is set up for him to be a success. So yeah, I just think I think at the moment we need to be doing a bit. I just think we need to be looking at the right people. I think we just need to be focusing on whatever's best. And yeah, I don't particularly care at the moment, as long as it isn't like an Eddie Howe, for example, which I don't think it is. I think that is a load of nonsense. As long as it's not Mourinho on a permanent, if it's interim thing, cool. Same with Lopetegui, same with a couple of others. If there's on an interim thing, I can understand it. If it's anything more, then I'm not about it. But just make sure you're doing your due diligence. That's it, really, for me.
I do have a question, and I guess Oliver, I'll ask you this. Are you by any chance nervous that, for the sake of not having to acquire more players to suit the manager's needs, that they might stick with Pochettino?
I don't think so, because I've said this in previous streams. We're going to get to the summer, and regardless of what the results are, Pochettino has 1 year left in his contract, and that at that point it's a matter of stick or twist. And if we fail to get European football, I think it's based on their own standards that they set throughout the season. It's untenable, unless, like Scott said, if they have no conviction in their standards and they have no backbone, that they change their mind and decide to stick with him. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for now and say that they would sack him for it.
Yeah, because I am worried that if De Zerbi were to come in, I mean, as much as I agree with Scott for the most part, there are some crucial positions that are going to be asked to be purchased, like a goalkeeper, for example. I don't think he's going to want to stick with Petrovic. I think De Zerbi's going to want another keeper that can play out the back. And it's not Sanchez. We already know it's not going to be Sanchez. He did not like Sanchez, so Sanchez is now a wasted transfer.
It was a wasted transfer. Anyway.
I don't know, because how old is Petrovic? 22, 21?
23.
He's not exactly super old yet. I don't think he's even that bad on the ball. Yes, he can definitely improve his build up play, but you have to have a good system with that as well. Because when we try build up from the back, we literally have no midfielders covering what's it called? Disasti, where he made that mistake. Yeah, there's no midfielders giving him options. So yeah, it was
No, Petrovic isn't bad on the ball. He just he's very simple on the ball, but that's what I like. He knows what he can do, and he sticks to that. He's not a Sanchez where he's trying to give a weak foot pass into the midfield for Rice to then go and pounce on and score against him. But a guy like De Zerbi would want someone that's more accomplished on the ball. Like we saw it, you could argue that Robert Sanchez is a better shot stopper than Jason Steele, but he went with Jason Steele for the ball playing ability.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll get Ramsdale, man. Ball play.
Yeah, and even with Ruben Amorim, if he were to come to the club, I feel like we are. I think this is still in line with our plans, which is to get another center back. But I think he's going to want another center back, and Diomande is just like right up that right up the alley for that one, which we'll talk about him shortly. But yeah. That being said, is there anyone else that wants to add any 2 cents on the whole manager situation before we move on to the next segment?
Hey, give me Simeone if we can get that manager. I'll take that
Never
manager.
happening.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying, give me that manager. Even though it's not going to happen.
I guess I'd say I'm most encouraged by Flick.
Is forever going to be Atletico.
It's either Atletico or Inter Milan.
Yeah, we're going to say Curry part.
I was gonna say that I think Amorim or Inzaghi fits the players we have already for the most part. I know everyone has watched different tactical videos and stuff, but from what I've seen for some of them, both of them like a ball playing / marauding center back, either on their left center back side of the three, but we can just convert that to the right side with Reece James if we want, to be honest. Because he can be our ball playing center back who marauds forward while we have Augusto. And I think the only purchase would be really a left back, but depending on with that manager, if we want to keep Matheson or not. That's the thing. Or apparently Prime had put in the chat that we were linked to this someone from Ghent. I don't know how attacking
this
he is,
player,
but
Archie Brown.
Yeah. So, maybe he's an attacking fallback, so then that might cover that aspect. So the only thing I can see is like a ball playing goalkeeper and then a striker. So depending on, the manager, if it's Amorim, obviously he's probably going to favor Gyökeres over an Osimhen, but I think we have most of the players in general for them, for the most part, for at least Amorim and Inzaghi, because the way they play their three at the back, it's like, they have very wide playing right wing backs, very attacking, goal scoring, just kind of like Tuchel. But unlike Tuchel, they have a very marauding left center back, but it could be our right side instead with Reece James. And that could also help him with, having not as heavy a toll on his body because he's not a wing back anymore. He's not a right back. So, that could help with him actually being consistent, not getting injury prone and playing more games. So it could be like, 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm more inclined to believe that, well, not Inzaghi, but Amorim and De Zerbi are the ones heavily linked with Chelsea, simply because of just the compatibility with the current squad. So we'll see. Obviously, more news is going to come out in the coming weeks, depending on results and all that stuff. So hopefully, by the summertime, we're looking at another manager. It's not Pochettino. But all right, let's continue on to the show and discuss that. Apparently, we got a set piece coach, or we're currently in talks to acquire a set piece coach. God only knows we need it because we stink at set pieces. So let's read this. Chelsea have identified Brentford guru Bernardo Cueva as one of their targets to work in the club's new set piece department. This is coming from Matt Law, which, take it how you want. Maybe it's reliable, maybe not. Matt Law used to be reliable. I don't think he is as reliable now, but who knows? Bernardo Cueva is understood to be one of the men on the radar of Chelsea who believe their opponents last Saturday, Brentford, are one of the best examples of maximizing set pieces. It is not known whether there has been an approach or any talks yet. And then continuing on here, Matt Law also saying, Chelsea say Mauricio Pochettino has been involved in the process of creating a set piece department, despite sources stating otherwise, and the head coach dismissing the importance of specialists last month. Now I'm kind of confused because is he talking? Just referring to set pieces in sense of offensive or defensive or both?
Both.
I think with the Poch thing, I think Poch wanted a set piece specialist player rather than a member of staff.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the difference. Like you wanted a Ward Prowse or something as opposed to a coach. Because he doesn't have a coach. He doesn't have a set piece coach on his staff, and he didn't want one.
That baffles me. I mean, I guess all of us, I assume, kind of agree that this is a necessary thing. We need a set piece coach because we're just absolutely awful at defending our set pieces.
Well, we need to try something different. Like we ain't gonna get any better.
It's both. It's necessary, and also looking at a member of Brentford staff and Chelsea fans, you need to remove the name from this because Brentford are objectively a very, very good set piece team. And we can't be identical to Brentford because we obviously don't have their squad, and their squad is obviously different to ours. They have taller players and as such, but the organisation, the creativity on some of the set piece sequences, we can definitely take some pages from that book and implement it ourselves because I don't know how we can get any worse. And like I said, you just got to remove the name from it. Just because it's Brentford doesn't mean that we are any better off not taking some inspiration from it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I heard the Brentford. I heard that Brentford is pretty good at the defending and going about set pieces. So this would be a good link. Yeah, this would be a good link, and I kind of do hope we go forward with that. And even if Mauricio Pochettino were to leave, I hope it's something that we keep and it continues to stay in the club. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else to this. I feel like we kind of always go over the set piece part and how much we think it stinks.
I just think that this whole thing with getting a set piece guy, this seems independent of Pochettino. His opinion doesn't necessarily matter here, as far as I'm aware. Because, like I said, he didn't want set piece staff in the first place, like I just said. So this is more of a club thing that we're trying to implement through the academies of the men and the women, and throughout every other level, in a sense.
This guy thinks that just because you have tall center backs, it should be good enough. That's his mentality.
West Ham have the same average height as our team. Just to point this out.
Are West Ham better at set pieces than us?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that answers that. Yeah, time will tell. Hopefully we get the right guy because I don't want another Anthony Barry. Anthony Barry wasn't good. Anthony Barry, to be fair, Anthony Barry started off well and then he just kind of fell off for whatever reason.
Maybe it's just Poch.
Yeah, I don't know.
He started well, and then he started leaving Jorginho as the last man on a corner, and that was just what the hell was
stinky.
That?
Stinky.
And he did the same thing at Bayern, so this is a common denominator here.
Yeah, so hopefully we get someone that's better than Anthony Barry. But all right, let's move on then. So apparently Poch has been doing some complaining, and I'm not very happy with what he's fucking saying. So here we go. First quote here. Poch, you need to ask the players. If the players believe that with another coach they can do better, I am the first who says, look, hey, or maybe they can talk with the owners or sporting director. This is just not a good look. Then the next tweet here. Pochettino, the fans aren't going to love another coach anymore than me. It's a new project and people need to understand. Like, bro. Like,
he does realize
he's
an ex-Tottenham coach, right? He does realize he's an ex-Tottenham coach, right?
It's not even that. Curry, it's not even that. He's just terrible.
I'm just saying on a base level, though. I'm just saying on a base level, like he's already he understands he starts on a negative, right? And he has to work out of that. Not like other coaches who start at zero.
We knew this.
He did.
He apparently
he doesn't.
Fucking has no clue. And then the last one that actually sent me was this one right here. So Mauricio Pochettino complains about lack of depth in the middle of the park, but it's hard to get sympathy. The likes of Ugochukwu, Cassidy, and Washington have barely had a kick even when the team consistently has about 8 players every match.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So when you did have these players, you barely fucking play them. Yet you're complaining about lack of depth in the middle of the park. Excuse me.
And you ran one of them into the ground.
You had a Matos, bro. You literally had a Matos, and you have a Cassidy that supposedly you or the ownership lets you have because there's no Lavia and there's no Guchuku, but you're not even
And there's
using
no
it.
height. Yeah.
And you had Andre Santos, who you immediately tossed to the wayside as soon as the club bought Ugochukwu.
I'm surprised he didn't say he's complaining about lack of depth in the left back situation. Like, hey,
Well,
you
remember, Marsh, he
fucking
thinks Colwell can play left back, so technically he's got 3 left backs. And if you count Gusto, then that's 4 that can play left back. In his mind.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's literally to me it's just so baffling how out of touch this guy can be. It's quite insane. I mean,
Did you see Did you guys see the quote about the birthday dinner as well?
Don't, please, no, please.
I saw that. I didn't read what it actually said.
Okay,
did he
I'll
say?
try and remember what he said. So he basically said that he was so annoyed. He said that he was so annoyed after the Brentford game that he didn't attend his birthday dinner that he with his wife.
With his wife, yeah.
But what he actually did, and this is what makes no sense, because I'm thinking, okay, he's trying to have a bit of a sympathy plea here. What he actually did, he went and watched Real Madrid and the Saudi Cup with his coaching staff.
Al Hilal, yeah, Al Hilal.
So,
he watched that match.
like, what are you? What's the point in you saying that?
Guy's a clown.
He
So he's
really
proper
is. He really is.
If we don't win, he's miserable, man. I don't know.
It stinks.
He's so miserable, but yeah. It's a great
Shut up,
point.
man.
He said after the match that it was a great point against Brentford. So miserable. Sure thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. This is like, remember what I said earlier about having a manager that can unite the fan base? You're not going to unite the fan base saying stupid shit like this. Like, not at all. You're not buying yourself time.
It's just mixed messaging, and no one can trust you when you do that.
It's mixed messaging, but you saw the quote before. You're not going to find another manager like me. Like, bro, are you serious?
He's him.
I mean,
like.
But by the way, what Ahmed was saying earlier about getting the Tuchel banner out, I think that's what it was in response to this quote. They were saying, let's get out the Tuchel banner and show him we actually have loved a manager before, sort of thing.
Yeah,
by getting results and stuff
he's
like
probably, that. Yeah, he's probably like second, third most loved manager at Chelsea.
Yeah,
but like, let's be honest. Like, look at the match going fans at the beginning of the season. They weren't booing this guy. They gave him a chance. We had a good performance. We had with Pochettino.
Oh right, sorry.
We had a good performance against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge on the first day of the season.
Yeah.
They weren't booing him because we drew, because we didn't win. They were happy and they accepted him.
Happy with it. We was happy with that performance. It was a good performance.
We gave him a chance. Both the fans going to the games, the online fans, us on the panel. We've given him a chance. We're 7 months later and there's no improvement. That's why there's no connection.
But it's not even that. Like, at least, like, there's no accountability with this guy. That's the part that also, like,
of course not. His first quote tried to put it on the players. The first quote that you showed, Marshall.
Mm-hmm. Like, even Tuchel took accountability, and I think that was something that a lot of the fan base respected, that he could do that. It's so mind-blowing to me. Like, this guy is not charming one bit. Not charming. Like, I don't care if it's lost in translation or whatever the fuck. Like, no, like, this guy, he just stinks. He thought he came in here. He just wanted to tell people what they wanted to hear, and he obviously didn't mean it. This guy's just the mentality's not there. He's just a liar from the jump, and he knows he doesn't understand Chelsea. I hate to say it that way. He just doesn't understand Chelsea, or like, at least it seems to be he doesn't get Chelsea or the fans. I don't know. It just seems like we have a Spurs manager running the club instead of a Chelsea manager that came from Spurs, if that makes any sense. So
it doesn't even matter. It's Spurs. He's just an idiot in everything he does.
Mm-hmm. What'd you say, Chris?
He ain't proper Chelsea, man. Get him out. Like, get him out of the club.
I hate to say it that way, but yeah, it seems that way. Go ahead,
Didn't
Curry.
he get the club? Didn't he get the club in the beginning? Because I know what the club is about. It's about winning.
All talk, no walk.
All, yeah, exactly.
All talk, no walk.
competition.
Absolutely.
and then it changes all of a sudden.
When it got to crunch time, he started making excuses, and you only judge someone by their actions under pressure, and that's what he gave us.
Yeah, it's just it's pathetic, man. So let's move on and discuss other, I guess, more entertaining things than Poch's stupid comments. Okay, let's go over here and let's actually bring up this player. So people were concerned that he was going to come back to the club, but it's almost confirmed that now that we have a little bit more details of the contract, that he's likely going to be staying at Newcastle, and we have completed the transfer of Lewis Hall. So let's see here. So Lee Ryder saying here, Eddie Howe says Lewis Hall will be at Newcastle for many years to come. Continuing on. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Continuing on, we have here, he adds Lewis Hall is close to triggering permanent move to Newcastle. Then we have here from Fabrizio Romano, as of 2 days ago, the expectation from all parties is that Lewis Hall will join Newcastle permanently. £30 million will go to Chelsea. I mean, is anyone really hurt by this? I could care less. I don't think Lewis Hall was that great. Yes, he had some decent performances, but I think the bar was really, really low for Chelsea last season. I think when it comes to the left back situation, I really think. I mean, if we get Amorim, I would see a place for Lewis Hall in the left wing back position, because it plays more like a left mid, like what he does, or he's more of a center mid actually, isn't he? So yeah, I mean. I can't say I'm stung by this or that I really care much, but I'm glad we're getting money out of it. So that's one loan that's completed, and more money towards the club that we can use towards financing other players or other whatever in the summer. Anyone have any thoughts?
It is a shame. Like, I'm not surprised, because we all sort of knew this at the beginning, that the terms of this loan agreement with Newcastle was going to be that he would have very attainable clauses that would trigger the obligation. And as far as I'm aware, the clause to trigger the obligation is that Newcastle must finish above 15th, which is very, very likely. So that once that's confirmed, the clause is in place and we get the money. But I do think it's a shame, because as much as our situation last season was terrible with the left backs, and I do genuinely think that he was good for us, and his delivery was amazing from out wide. Defensively, yes, there are problems, but to be honest with you, when you're looking at some of the left back targets out there that you'd probably want for Chelsea, you can't really say that they're exactly accomplished defensively either. So maybe you could have Lewis Hall as a backup in that situation. But listen, we're getting a decent fee out of it, so that's fine.
Yeah, £30 million is a pretty good amount for Lewis Hall, I'm not gonna lie.
It is, and for a guy pretty much straight out of the academy who's never had a loan before this, and we move. No player's bigger than the club, as the saying goes. So yeah, best of luck to him, I guess. Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts on Lewis Hall? Cool.
Hope you get sold, mate. Hope you get sold. We need that money. We need that 100 million money. You're part of that.
You're
deal,
muted.
man.
You're not.
Yeah. I just want to say, man. Cucurella, man. Is the reason why he's not here. So blame Cucurella if you're gonna blame anyone, boys.
All right.
I mean,
yeah, I get that, but
oh my god,
let's actually.
Hall's not performing.
No. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just transitioning.
I just want to say quickly, before we do the full transition, the amount of flipping Uckish demons I am seeing for Tuchel. I'm seeing Tuchel comps. I'm seeing, he's looking this passion. What is going on with this, man? Honestly, it's actually kind of like, listen, I understand we live in an emotional sport. But right now is not the time for emotion. Now is the time for clear heads. Honestly, you know what I mean? Listen, I know I make jokes all the time in it, yeah, but generally, it really is the time just for clear minds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, man. Now is the time for a manager to be saying they're not going to love the next manager more than they love me. Yep.
Oh,
now's the time for that.
Marshall, you know what, Marshall?
Cucurella set to leave. All right, let's go ahead and read about this. My understanding is that Mark Cucurella is one of the situations to be assessed at the end of the season. Cucurella, Chalobah, and more. These players are waiting to see what Chelsea decides to do in terms of projects, tactical plans for next season, and the manager's situation, according to Fabrizio Romano. I think this would be a dumb move. I genuinely think there's a good player in Cucurella. I wouldn't mind keeping him. If they sell him, they sell him. But I really hope that they reinforce in that left back situation because Ben Chilwell has a knee injury again, and that's not good. So now for tomorrow's game, very likely two things: either Malo Gusto is going to play at left back, or Cucurella is going to start like we did with Ugochukwu and get re-injured. So I mean, place your bets, ladies and gents. What do you think is going to happen?
I think this is going to happen.
You think?
Cucurella's
just going to shut down on the left back.
Let's get another one. Let's hit another one for you, man. You know what I mean? Let's hit another one for you. You know what? One more time. You know what I mean? 3 times a charm. Let's go, man. You know
What's wrong with this guy, man?
Yeah, man. He's logging off, man. He's logging off tonight, baby. He's logging off tonight, baby. Hey.
Whoa.
I don't see why we just don't get rid of Chilwell and just get rid of Colwell and keep Cucurella and Maatsen. But
Well, I mean, Matson's out of our control now because he's got released.
no, I know, but I know, like, but I really want to keep Maatsen as a player for the Chelsea's backup. Because Cucurella actually isn't that bad at left back. I don't think. I think he's a solid left back.
Well, listen, you know, these owners, they wanted to.
Yeah, well,
these-
I don't want to go.
They wanted to, you know, make their bed by dying on the Chilwell hill. Now they got to lay in it.
Yeah.
What to do? Yeah, I guess we got to get a new left back.
Daddy
Nice
too.
Curry swallowing water over there. What's going on?
I'm having Indian tea. Sorry.
He's swallowing
Oh,
it.
okay. There you go.
Swallowing something, my friend. That's all. That's what we need to know.
Hey, yo.
Indian tea.
Hey, yo.
There you go. I believe you. I believe you.
I know. Sure we go.
But yeah, I mean, actually, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on Cucurella, man? I've never actually. I don't know where you stand on Cucurella.
He's our best left back. I'm not counting Matheson because I've never seen him play for Chelsea in left back. I know he's great, but you know, apparently the management, none of them want to play left back. So out of Chilwell, Colwell, I think Cucurella's the best. The bar is low. It's not high. It's low. So he's the best. He's better defending than Chilwell. First we said, oh, Chilwell's good attack. He can't cross for shit, so that negates that part. So what is he better than Chilwell? Better than Cucurella? Nothing. Colwell is really bad at defensive positioning at the left back spot, and he also offers nothing in the offense. So, you know, if I want to get rid of someone, it would be probably Chilwell, Cucurella, and if we want to get this Ghent guy, I would do a Matheson and this Ghent dude that we're linked with for 15 million. But if we're gonna keep Chilwell and get this Ghent dude, it's basically we have one left back because Chilwell's gonna be injured again in like 2 seconds. So it's like we need to play 2 left backs.
Can I be honest, boys? We need some experience at left back, boys. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm sorry, 15 million young
Hernandez.
No, please. Like we need someone, bro, that's gonna give us the experience. You know what I mean? So let's not do that, bro. Personally, just my opinion, of course. I think for me, the main issue that we're having right now is that we're focusing too much on the young G's, too much on the young talents. What we need to focus on really is some level of experience, please.
Well, let me ask you this then, Ahmed. Let's talk about this. Nico Williams links. Is this one of the young G's that you're okay with? Let's read some tweets real quick.
The reason
Nico Williams is on Chelsea's radar as the club begin to draw up their plans for a summer transfer window, according to Matt Law. And we have here, with the potential move for Nico Williams, there is no suggestion that Chelsea is looking to offload either Raheem Sterling or Mikhailo Mudryk this summer. And both players remain committed to the club, according to Matt Law. And then an exclusive here from, I guess, Fabrizio. Nico Williams has been on Chelsea's list for some time. He has a 50 million euro release clause this summer, and other clubs are also interested. So
no, this is Fraser Fletcher, by the way. Fraser Fletcher does caught offside.
Well, okay. I thought it was.
But that's just a promotion for Fabrizio. That's just a promotion.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Talk to me, Ahmed. Is this one of the young G's?
Again, I wouldn't mind them He has 4 years of experience in La Liga. So
how old is he, by the way? Does anyone know?
21.
21.
Oh wow, okay.
So that's why for me, if you were to say him, for example, I wouldn't mind necessarily because it makes sense, and if you get my drift, Marshall. But listen, man, at the end of the day, boys, yeah, fuck who we're gonna get in the future. We need to think about the here and now. Let's fix the present before we fix the past.
Wait, what?
Well,
Wait, what? Fix the past? How are we fixing the past?
Let's fix the present before we look to the future. My apologies. I was
Oh, okay.
wrong way
Okay.
around. You know what I mean? My brain did a. You know what I mean? That's what happened right there.
Yeah, it's a little mini shutdown right there. I mean, how do the rest of the panel feel about Nico Williams?
Chris really doesn't know about him, so let's just exclude him. Marshall doesn't know anything about him either.
You never know, bro.
I don't know.
Wait,
Yeah.
the thing is, here's the thing. I'm fine with him because let's be honest, there's not a lot of world class left wingers in the world. Like, to be honest, like what do we got? It's stiff picking. It's like it's an Mbappe hybrid who's a left wing / striker. It's a Vinny, it's Rodrigo. So basically Madrid, and then you basically have like Rafael Leao, who's kind of having an off season, and maybe Crava, and that's it. Like literally for left wing, that's it. So it's like slim pickings.
Dry
Sure,
market.
I guess we can give it a try. He can't do worse than Sterling because Modric is doing it as good as Sterling almost. So he can't do worse. If Modric is doing that, then if he can do better than Modric, he's already better than Sterling.
You know what, Chris, bro? What are your thoughts, my friend? You know what, man? Maybe I'm underestimating you. What do you think about Nico Williams? Nico Williams. Do you know who he is?
The forward, he's like years ago. I remember hearing about him. Yeah, like he's not like I haven't heard about him in recent times, but like yeah, like he's like 24, 25 now. I'm guessing.
21.
He's 21.
21. Wait, I'm thinking of someone else.
He started very young. He started very young.
Wait,
Probably think of his brother Iñaki.
wait, is he Spanish?
Yeah, his brother's Ghanaian
Yeah,
though. Because
Let's
Iñaki
not think of
Williams.
his brother. He's a forward, right? Like striker.
Oh
winger.
yeah, you know what? I get him confused with Iñaki Williams a lot. Yeah.
I if it's the same one, yeah, he looked very like quick and explosive. The guy I'm thinking of and all that, but I haven't really heard of him in recent times. But I don't know if it's the same one. Actually, I'm thinking about.
Bro, no, yeah, it's not the same one, bro.
Does Iñaki Williams plays for the same team?
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
they both do.
They're
He's
both
striking. This guy's right wing.
Yeah, Iñaki Williams is a striker. That's the difference.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, if you guys think he's good, then then he's probably good, and he could be another Palmer on the left wing.
I've got one reservation because I've never watched him play for an extended amount of time, so I have no comment on his. I have no comment on his footballing ability or his potential. I've seen on Twitter his transfer marked injury page going around. It's not encouraging. Let's just put it like that. I don't know if you want to bring it up, Marshall, but it is not exactly like a clean page. If you know what I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
I'd like to see a bit more empty space on that page, if it were my choice.
I can't lie to you guys, man. How do you feel about Chelsea, guys? You know what? Yeah, while we're waiting for Marsh to bring stuff up, what are your honest thoughts about the club, man? Because I feel like that's a good question to ask on a stream like this when we're not doing the review. What are your thoughts, on our current state? And I'll start with Chris, man, because I know Chris hasn't spoken that much. So, do you want to speak about your opinions, my friend?
On what? Sorry.
What's on Chelsea, bro? Chelsea currently, your general feelings, bro. Go ahead, man.
Wait, I don't understand. Like on Chelsea's feelings, how shit we are. Like it's kind of like.
How do you feel about Chelsea right now?
It's kind of like. Wait, one sec. I don't know why.
I'll be right back, boys.
Yeah, bro.
Like the whole chat is. Am I lagging for you? Because I'm hearing you guys.
Yeah,
lag.
Chris, I think you might be lagging, mate, because we
can hear you fine.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. So the question we asked you, I was asking Chris, how do you feel about Chelsea currently? What are your thoughts and feelings?
It's fucking depressing. Like, if you want to talk about like Chelsea in general, it's fucking depressing. Like, you go from last season where we're fighting relegation for most of the season for 40 points, and now we're doing this. Like, I don't know what point we're on this season. I barely look at us on the table. Like it's depressing every time we have to watch us play. Like, we don't get more than 3 wins in a row. Like, Chelsea's You know, it's not the club we watch, you know, for most of our lives. But like, if you mean like that type of Chelsea, you know, like it's just depressing shit. There's nothing good. Like we've just got 2 shit managers in a row. Like its ownership doesn't know how to like get a good manager in right now. What it looks like. So yeah, it's peak. So I don't know why you're smiling.
I read a comment. That's why I've apologized.
Sorry, like like it's all lagging. So I was trying to figure out where you're thinking like what you're on about, like Chelsea.
What about you, Curry Pirate, bro?
Like,
I'm very much in the middle ground. Like I know there's gonna be a drop off. Like every club drops off at some point. Like Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United. But like, dude, like it's not even the players; it's the management that's been pissing me off. Like the managers, because the players, like I can kind of do Project Youth in the sense of like now it looks like we're doing Project Youth, but now we're bringing some experienced players like an Osimhen and so forth. So like, and like Nkunku came in last season, so he should have been experienced, right? Like Disasi is 25, so technically so our spine is kind of experienced, right? Sanchez is 25, 26, so technically it's kind of like experienced spine. So we're building that experience around it, so it's like I get that part, but man, these managers have been ass, man. Really ass. Like I'm fine with firing Tuchel, but like we had an Emery right there for us, man. Emery was right there. At that point, like that was the same season Emery got hired in January. Like we could have just got him, and we could have and the way. And I'm sorry, I think our squad is better as a whole is better in terms of depth than Villa, and he's at top 4, top 5 position with that squad. So imagine the squad. Like I think definitely we could like do the same, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? And it's like we have some players developing, like not even besides Angelo, like Fofana's having a pretty decent loan at Burnley. I can't lie. Like the opportunities he's taking them, like from what he can, right? He's scoring some good banger goals. He's got a brace and stuff like that. So it's like I can't fault him. Like I can see a good backup, like a 3rd choice striker for next season. Let's say if we get an Osimhen and Jackson's like a striker, and then but it's like the management's been shit. And if they fuck this one up, there's got to be hell to pay. Like if they mess up this next one, there's got to be like literal. I want pitchforks outside of Stamford Bridge. Not saying like ownership out because they can't be kicked out, but like pitchforks. Like we're not gonna pay you the money you want for your season tickets, for your merchandise, for all the shit. Like you're gonna experience like maybe your next sponsorship deal like going down the drain in terms of value because we're just not going to buy as much products, so you don't have enough evidence to show that you can demand so much sponsorship money.
I was gonna just before you go, Chris, I'm gonna let Oliver just talk quickly about what his thoughts and feelings are as well.
I'll keep this very brief. Like I'm upset with where we are. Like I can't lie there. I like some of the players we have. And I like some of the ideas that our ownership want to implement, but I am not letting this football club in the state that it's in. I'm not letting it dominate my life and my emotions in the way that it will some other people. Because at the end of the day, these players and the people that run the club, they haven't earned that from me yet. I think that's the main takeaway that I try and give to other Chelsea fans. It's bad right now, and none of us are going to be enjoying it, but don't let this dominate your life. If you don't have another hobby, go and find one, because it will help you take your mind off some of this stuff. And yeah, I haven't really got much more to say about it. I think you guys covered all bases in terms of going in depth with.
What were you going to say, Chris? Yeah, what are you going to say, Chris?
I have another one. You talk about Chelsea, yeah. Like, we can talk about, like, I can talk about, like, people can fuck off in Chelsea as well. Like Gallagher, Chilwell, what's his name? Mudryk can fuck off too. I don't mind it. Madueke can go as well. Brozier can go. Obviously, Colwell can go. Chalobah can go.
Wait, why Colwell can go? What's wrong with Colwell?
I didn't say Colwell, did I? I said Chalobah.
I just
No,
heard
you
you
literally
say
said Colwell before
You said
Chalobah.
Colwell. You said Colwell.
Yeah.
Did I say Chilwell?
Chris was going off. He didn't know what you were saying. He was willing it off.
I didn't
He's
mean to say
naming the whole
Colwell.
squad. at this
No,
point,
wow,
man.
no.
Goddamn.
I actually do like a lot of signings we bung in this season, but like the signings we bung in the first season when Todd Boehly and Agbali gone in, I don't like a lot of them. I really don't, and it really shows like we didn't have no director of football, nothing. That really shows like with Chelsea as well. Like obviously again, the manager's wrong. We like Poch can go end of the season too. I don't want him gone. I know we all don't want him gone, but I would get rid of a few of these players if we could. If we can still like say for example, Mudryk for like 45 to 50 million, I'd take it. I'd take that.
Yeah, I mean to bring it back to current. Well, my thoughts on the squad, obviously, or the Chelsea.
Comments.
But my thoughts on Chelsea, obviously, you guys already know. I speak about it, vehemently, constantly. I think Poch does need to go. I think even if you want to say, oh well, the owners don't help him, the signings and the recruitment was bad and all this. I'm not going to sit here and accept that these players are mid and that they're not better quality players individually than other teams, that they can do better. So again, I think a lot of this falls on Poch, but I think a lot of it also falls on the recruitment for assigning him and, misprofiling him with this team, thinking that this was a good fit for him. So it goes both ways. I'm willing to be more lenient with the recruitment because they've saved themselves with the quality of players that we have, minus, Mudryk is still up in the air and so on and so forth. There's a few other, maybe one or two other players that are up in the air, but Poch, it's just not acceptable. So I think he has to go in the summer. And if he doesn't, then I'm going to be really, really annoyed. But going back to Nico Williams and another player that we could potentially get to replace either a Mudryk or a Sterling, who knows? Sterling doesn't plan on leaving. Mudryk, who knows what the plan is? If we might loan him next season, I don't know. But we're looking at Nico Williams' injury record here. It doesn't seem like it's too crazy, Oliver. He hasn't missed more than like 4 games at a time, and that was only once. So he gets like a knock here and there. He hasn't been out for a sustained period of time. So maybe it's not something too crazy. But with Poch, I can see all these numbers increasing by at least one more. So there is that worry for me if Poch were to stay. That's another one too that I'm worried about as well with our players is the fitness levels. Not even the fitness levels, but the fitness in terms of being available for the games. These guys are getting injured and falling like flies left and right. So I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Okay, but that being said, moving on from Nico Williams, let's go ahead and bring up the next topic, which I have here for you guys is Diomande. Diomande talks have begun apparently. And if you guys remember, we were talking in January about Diomande as well as who was the other one, the French one? Claude.
Todibo.
Todibo, thank you. So Todibo was another one that was being a discussion, but Diomande, considering we have these Amarin links as well, could be something that happens if Amarin does come. So Chelsea is positioning itself ahead of the competition for Ousmane Diomande. They have made first contact and they have indicated they would be willing to pay £51 million for him. The teams have a good relationship and talks are already underway. Now this is coming from Record Portugal, so do take it with a grain of salt because they did get the whole Ugarte thing situation wrong, but the links were there and we were genuinely going in for Ugarte. But Ahmed, I guess you tell me, man, Ousmane Diomande, would you be satisfied with this signing?
No.
Okay.
All right, good talk.
Brutal.
Pirate. Your thoughts.
Brutal.
Okay.
No, I want to hear his thoughts.
No, I'm just kidding. Listen, he's a good player. I wouldn't mind him, but again, right now, I think the word we need, we need a guy who's had a bit of EXP. You know what I mean? He's leveled up a bit. You know what I mean? We need him to have had quad rank, 100. I forgot what it's called. There's a term for this. And literally, he's as an ex-quad player.
Prestige? You mean prestige?
We need to fully prestige right now.
He
We need,
says.
yeah, we need to fully prestige. We need to fully prestige guy, man. This guy probably right now is a level 25 player using a good SMG weapon, probably pretty decent at search and destroy. You know what I mean? But listen, man. Right now, listen, we need a guy that's like a monster. Search and destroy. You can do 1v5. You can do 1v2. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We need someone that can do that. Man. And right, like the situation right now is there's too many noobs. You know what I mean? It's making the difficulty too hard. We need the big guns. You know what I mean? We need the guys that got the cojones. They can use these weapons properly. And Diomande right now, he's only a novice. You know what I mean? He can only do the light techniques. You know what I mean? Nothing too serious.
Ahmed, sometimes you cook,
I'm so
and then
confused.
sometimes you just straight up burn the dish, bro. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, what? I guess I get your analogy. You want more experience, I guess, and Diomande may not be that guy. I don't know. Like, I haven't watched too much of Todibo or Diomande to really, Diomande, I should say, to really have an opinion. So, what? Oh no!
The gathering,
yeah. Let's not. But I guess. Go ahead.
Also, the gathering saying William Carvalho region. William Carvalho was known as a CDM when he was at Sporting. So I don't know what you're talking about for that. But Diomande, besides like one or two chances in AFCON where he kind of looked a little off, he was pretty solid there, and he's been pretty solid for Sporting. And hey, if you bring Diomande, I'm getting strong. Like, we're going for Amarin then, because like you bring Amarin, you bring Diomande, and then you bring Gyökeres, and that's your like 120 million spent on those two.
We're not going for Gyökeres anymore, though.
You think so? Like, I know there's been reports that are off, but then every time it comes back that he's on the list somehow again, or like they're looking at it, or like, because no, didn't they literally show up like last week to watch Amarin and Gyökeres? Like, that's what they were there for, was for Amarin and Gyökeres. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if it went into any detail as to whether we were looking at Gyökeres or not. All I know is that most recently Fabrizio reported that we're not looking at Gyökeres anymore, and that the only contender at the moment is probably Arsenal, and even that is up in the air.
Okay, fair enough. But just on Diomande, I think he's a pretty solid centre back, and I don't fully understand this whole like XP thing, because like I think, how old is Diomande? Like 22, 23?
21, mate.
Oh, is he? I thought it was
really?
Fair enough.
Bro, we're going for young bucks. You know, listen, we are. You know, I know people talk about Jeffrey Epstein. We are just the best time I've told you.
But okay, question for you, Alman. Because the other guy we're linked with is Todibo, who's only 25, and you know, it's like we got a guy in 25 that we constantly bash on Disasi, right? So it's like what does let's say the fan base as a whole want for experience? Do they want? Because when we went Koulibaly and went 31, 32, everyone was saying he's shit. Then we went super young. Then we went middle of the pack. No, I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying the fan base, right? We went middle of the pack, and we were shitting on the centre back. I know, but I'm just saying it's like, what is it like? We went super old and experienced, right? Like one of the best centre backs in the world in Koulibaly. Then we went super young. Then we went middle of the pack, and no one's happy. How is no one happy when we've gone through all three directions? I don't understand. It's like they want a Thiago Silva regen coming in at 35, and then he's going to bring the experience, and he's going to be amazing for us. But guys, there's no one like Thiago Silva. Godin's not here. Like, who do you want? There's no one in world football who's playing at 35 who's going to be good for us in a demanding physical league. What are we on, guys? We're not getting Sergio Ramos or something, people.
100%.
What the fuck are we on? And I do like Todibo more, to be honest, like in general. Well, obviously he has a large track record, and like same physical league, and he's decent at ball playing. But I don't know. I think Todibo's cheaper, but then it depends. Like if we're getting Amarin, I completely get why we're getting, you know, Diomande.
Yeah.
So it depends on the management, to be honest, more than anything else for me.
Yeah.
Same with the striker.
But I almost agree with you. Like if we are gonna, if these links for Diomande start to get stronger, I'm starting to believe more and more that we're gonna go for an Amarin. So it's something to keep an eye on for sure. This guy, yeah, we need him to prestige, sure.
Prestige, man.
You got a PS3 game, is that?
Listen, man.
People still play PS3, bro. I have PS3. You know, we get it. You have the game. Yeah, we understand. We comprende. But you know, that being said, we'll keep an eye on Diomande. Obviously, we are going to need a center back now that we're going to be getting rid of Thiago Silva, I'm sure, at the end of the summer, and maybe Chalobah as well. But all right, let's move on to Ahmed's favorite player at Chelsea, and that's Romelu Lukaku. Apparently, has had some comments to say, man. So let's see what he said here. Romelu Lukaku, here at AS Roma, it's all different. Here, the fans. Here, the fans love me. I'm doing my best as this club helped me. Future and loan from CFC expiring in June. I have to be careful with those answers, he said, smiling. Bro, dog, you said the same thing about Inter. You said the same thing about, you probably said the same thing at Chelsea at one point. Dog, you're going to ruin that just like you ruined everything else. Come on now. Like, so shut the fuck up. Stop talking. They love you, sure, whatever. You're scoring goals for them. They're not going to love you when you stop scoring goals. So you better keep scoring goals, bro. Anyone have thoughts on this besides the laughter?
Please leave my club.
It's like the same things you say, basically. Like, he does say a lot of shit, and it's sad because I did want him at the club, but yeah. He was shit for Chelsea as well, and he can talk as much as he wants. I just want him gone for the club anyway. I don't want him. I don't think none of you want him as well, of course. So he can fuck off.
You were entertaining it at one point, Chris. You gotta admit that.
No, because we had no striker. I thought, fuck it, I'd be desperate enough. Like Jackson, obviously, I prefer Jackson as a striker to Lukaku.
Oh. Okay.
No, you know me with Jackson this season. Like, I don't mind Jackson. He's not a bad striker. I do want another striker in the club still though, because Jackson can't just do it all alone with no backup because Boehly is not good enough. But like Lukaku, man, he's just wasted our time. He wasted his time, and we just gave him like 300k a week for like just to shit on us, basically.
300k a week, bro.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, then let's move from this guy to the other striker that could potentially have a future at Chelsea, and that's well, it's not really news, but I kind of do want to gather you guys' thoughts.
You know what, man? Listen, this is for Romelu, the fat boy Lukaku. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. You know.
David Datro Fofana has scored 3 goals for Burnley since joining them on loan in January. 5 starts for the Ivorian striker, who's been strongly wanted by Vincent Kompany to win Sevilla competition. No buy option clause included in loan deal from CFC. Hey, I've been saying this now. And listen, I'm not going to jump the gun. Let's see how he ends the season. But I have said it, and you guys can, be my witness that there's something about Didi Fofana I like. I think he does have a future at the club. I think there is a good striker in there. It just needs to be developed. And I was impressed with the small appearances he had under Potter. It's a damn shame that Potter didn't play him more. Same thing with Lampard, actually. But I guess, are we impressed so far with what's going on with him at Burnley? Is it a good turnaround for him? Like, what do we think, guys? Do we want to give him a shot next season?
It's impressive. 3 goals in 5 starts. That's a very, very good scoring rate. Obviously, there's not a big sample size there. You can't call him an elite striker based off that.
Yeah, obviously.
But he's doing very well. And you just if you watch him at Burnley, you just see some of the attributes that you did see in those limited appearances at Chelsea.
His goal today was phenomenal. By the way, if anyone didn't see the goal, was it today or yesterday?
It was today. Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone didn't see the goal. Absolutely phenomenal goal. It was brilliant.
It was. One of the main things I take away from him, he's very good with his feet, and he's not a very tall striker, so he can use the low center of gravity to, weave his way through certain situations. And that's how he got his goal today. He picked the ball up in the midfield pretty much and drove through 2 people and then just had a hit, and it was fantastic. I don't know if I'd have him next season. It kind of depends. I think we've had this discussion with Prime before, about what to do if we don't get an Osimhen or a Tony. I'd probably keep him in the event that we don't get one of those. But if we do get one of those, then I'd say Jackson's the natural backup.
I mean,
And
I wouldn't.
You probably
mind...
loan or sell. You probably loan or sell Fofana after that. But you make a profit on him because he's doing well right now. This will raise his value.
I wouldn't mind having Fofana as a backup to Jackson. I'll be quite honest. Like if we weren't able to get an Osimhen or a Tony or a Gyökeres or whoever, right? I actually wouldn't mind having Fofana as a backup to Jackson. I feel like he would be a decent backup. We'll give him play time. Obviously, he's going to get rotated. But yeah, I mean, like, again, like you said it, I like his ability on the ball. I think he's really agile for a striker, which is nice to see. And you saw it today. The guy can strike a ball. And he's got some dribbling ability as well.
I think as well, like, his whole situation this season just goes to show what we've been saying about some of our players in the Chelsea squad, because situations can make the world of difference. Because you look at him at Union Berlin, and people said he was a bum and that he was riding bench over there and he'll never be good enough. And now he's at Burnley in the Premier League scoring goals, and the narrative has just totally changed. So, you know, maybe if you just apply that to some of our players, you'll kind of see where some of us are coming from in terms of why we blame Pochettino or why we blame the running of the club for harming the environment for some of these players versus what they're actually capable of.
100%. Okay, well, cool. Big up to Fofana. Hopefully he keeps doing well in his loan. But now talking on potential future strikers for Chelsea, it seems that this week there's been a uptick in the Sesko stocks. So yeah, I think the Sesko stocks are starting to rise, and let's actually discuss why and what's been going on. So first tweet I have here for you guys, it's from David Ornstein, which this is kind of a dagger. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's unlikely Chelsea signed Victor Osimhen, mainly due to transfer fee and salary. Chelsea are tight on PSR rules. He might be right. He says it's unlikely, not that it's impossible, but you guys already know when it comes to David Ornstein, his words is almost nearly gospel. But let's go ahead and continue on.
Technically, that's an opinion piece.
Sure. Technically. But I would assume his opinion comes from a place of like an educated hypothesis, you know? So going on, Fabrizio Romano saying here, I'm not sure Chelsea are the front runners for Victor Osimhen, but they are in the race. The player considers them an interesting option. Going on, we have for Jacob Steinberg. Chelsea will look to sign a traditional number 9. They have tracked Napoli's Victor Osimhen, RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko, and Sporting Lisbon's Victor Gyökeres. We continue on. Chelsea, as well as other clubs, have scouted Benjamin Sesko multiple times. Let's see what happens in the summer. They are Fabrizio Romano here saying what you were asking before, Curry. They are also not working on Victor Gyökeres. I think they have other names. So Benjamin Sesko seems to be the one that no one is saying is not likely to happen. How do you guys feel about Benjamin Sesko? I can't really speak on him because I haven't seen him play. I have seen Osimhen play. I caught glimpses of Gyökeres, but I haven't really done my research on Sesko.
If we're thinking about Sesko, just keep Jackson. Move.
Yep.
There's no point.
And Fofana.
His numbers aren't impressive at all.
Shit. That was immediately shut down. Ahmed, do you have any thoughts on Sesko, or you're done with Sesko? You're just same boat. Keep Fofana and Jackson.
Why not have 3? Sesko Nation.
No.
We rise.
No.
Listen, if you don't believe in Mudryk, and we don't believe in Sterling, Jackson the left wing, Sesko striker, Jackson on the backup.
No. We're buying Nico Williams. No, thank you. I'm not spending the Sesko money.
How much is Sesko, by the way?
50 million.
Eesh. I mean, 50.
Based on last reports.
He's done nothing since he left RB Salzburg.
Salzburg, yeah. Salzburg, he was banging goals, but in Leipzig, he was like backup striker because of how shit he's been doing every chance he's gotten, to be honest.
He's behind Simons and Openda, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and the only guy that was behind him the only guy that was behind him in that pecking order before he went to Spurs was Timo Werner.
Yeah, and no, thank you. We already have a guy in our squad who struggled in Germany but is doing decent in his loan in the Prem, and his name is Datro Fofana. Why am I spending 50 million on this guy?
Yeah, that makes sense logically. Yeah, I mean, I hope that these links saying that it's unlikely that we get Osimhen is not true. I hope that we can work our way around it, because that's the other thing too. I feel like they're not considering how many outgoings we are going to go for in the summer and how many funds it's going to raise.
I don't get the wage part. I'm like, guys, we're literally going to sell Lukaku, who's on 300k a week. Like, so that covers the wage part.
Yeah,
and that's not even counting if we sell Sterling. And then we literally just right now we sold 30 million for Livermento, and we're gonna sell Ian Matheson for 35. That's like 65 million right there. And that's not even counting Chalaba or Broha. And if we just need to raise like 35 million more.
Yeah. So for me, it's just one of those, like, I don't see. I know there's some people in my comment section saying that there's a delusion of us getting Osimhen. I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so. I think it's very possible. I think Chelsea will and can pay that clause once they start selling players. It's just a matter of if we actually pull the trigger, if maybe Eghbali changes his ways in terms of what type of transfer strategy he goes for, because I feel like he does start to bottleneck a few things. So we'll see. I'm hoping this news changes, because I'm not liking where it's going with settling for like a Sesko and not going for, I guess, one of the more proven, I say proven lightly, but one of the more reputable strikers out in the market. So let's see where that goes in time. But this is the fun part. Before we get on to this closing, we're getting towards the end of the stream. But before we get on to there, guys, as always, be sure to smash up the like buttons if you haven't done so already. Thank you for being here. If you got to this part of the video and you're watching it, in the future, give me some like blue squares in the comment section. And yeah, let me know that you guys, that lets me know that you guys have been sticking around and watching to this point. So let's go ahead onto the next section. And we have some sponsorship deals and news that are falling through, which is interesting to see. I'm very curious as to what exactly happened. But let's see here. First tweet I have here. So Premier League clubs will face sanctions if they are to secure inflated sponsorship or transfer deals with companies, organizations, or other teams connected with to their owns. And I think this correlates to potentially Infinite Athlete. So that could be something that, we'll see the repercussions of if that's the case in the future. We move on. CSC Daily here tweeting that Oman Air signed a multi-year deal back in July. Come March, they aren't even recognized on the site. Interesting. Oman Air has been removed from the Chelsea club partners list. Then we see here from Matt Law, apparently, that Chelsea have mysteriously terminated a sponsorship deal with Oman Air. Sources have told Telegraph Sport the deal has been terminated, and that sources have suggested the problem over the deal arose in Oman Air's side, which forced Chelsea to agree to a termination, but neither party has commented or disclosed any details, which maybe it's better that we do not disclose those details. But my opinion on this, the 2 cents, is that it is honestly starting to become an absolute howler what's going on with our sponsorship deals. Why haven't we gotten them done? Why haven't we solidified them? Why are we falling so far behind with sponsorship deals? And does it have to do with the fact that we're not in Europe? Or is it the negotiating side of it? So it's infuriating. It's infuriating. I think this is a Chris Jurasek part of the his role in the club, and my dude is dropping the ball. Like, what the fuck happened with Oman Air? That seems so promising. And now, how long until we get another freaking sponsor? Are we gonna go sponsorless again for next season for a while until we find someone else? Like, what's gonna happen, man? It's annoying, but obviously. Guys, I'd like to share your thoughts. Any any frustration that you want to vent on this?
It's because like we were trying to get good sponsors, and the good sponsors obviously want European football. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we're struggling to get sponsored. We're not looking at the lower sponsors at our level. Our level is the smaller sponsors right now because we're not getting European football right now. So we're gonna struggle. So we're gonna have to lower our expectations while the club does until you actually start getting Champions League football or any type of European football. It's because I know we're getting we looked at Jordan and stuff like that, and
yes,
we're not gonna get them if we don't get European football. That's a guarantee. That is 100% guarantee. So yeah, it's annoying. This club needs to get things sorted, like management and all that sorted before you even worry about your sponsors and all. I get why you have to worry about your sponsors because it brings in money for the club and. To bring in the best money, you got to be the best as well. You got to be one of the best teams in the world, and we're certainly not one of the best teams in England right now. So we get that sorted out first.
Okay, so I look at the Oman Air thing. I think where I take worry with this is now the second. I'm not going to call it a sponsor because technically it is a sponsor, but these are the club partners. These are the guys that. When you go in the press conference, you see on the board behind the manager that their brand is on that thing. So it's not the shirt. It's not the shirt sponsor. It's a bit different, but they are still affiliated with the club and they do pay the club money. But this is the second club partner now that have terminated the agreement on their own end. We haven't because Whalefin terminated. They did the exact same thing. I believe that was for cost-cutting measures, and I'm not sure what Oman Air have done, the reason they've done it. But this is the second one that has been terminated beyond our control, and that needs to be sorted out because we're going to lose income for the rest of the season based on this, and we need a more stable source of revenue in that case because this just isn't it. We can't be letting. I don't know whether you can put it in a contract that the party in question doesn't have a break clause, but something's got to change because this is just to have two in a row.
Really bad for us. Yeah,
it looks bad. Yeah, and I guess the only other thing I'd have to say from all these is your first report about the about facing sanctions. That is related to what City have done where they've cooked the books by sponsoring themselves, basically.
Sure.
So that's one part of it. And the other part of it is also if you got a multi-club model, basically when you have a multi-club model, you have to, when you trade players within your multi-club model, when you do transfers within the network, you have to pay market value. Because if you can't just sell a player for £1 because that's not fair to the market. So if you were to basically do that and charge less than market value within your own network, then that's where you get sanctioned. But we're not there yet because Strasbourg aren't built up to that level where we have a player over there that we'd want to buy. So I don't think that's necessarily something we need to be worrying about right now.
Yeah, we'll see in the long run if that's something we do have to worry about. I am a little nervous with the whole Infinite Athlete thing because if Infinite Athlete were to sponsor more, I think that starts to raise some red flags. I could be wrong, and maybe I misunderstood. I don't think Infinite Athlete are affiliated with our ownership though. I don't think they have ties to Clearlake. But I thought that was part of the Clearlake's investment or something like that.
Not as far as I'm aware. There's no direct link. I may be wrong, but that's what I recall at least.
I think they have minority shares, that they have some shares in that, but not a lot. So it is an investment fund. So they're gonna have their toes in every thing in a sense. So, but nothing mutual. So I don't think it's a conflict of interest or any alarm raisers.
Especially if it's a minority investment, then it's the exact same thing that we faced in the summer where we sold all those players to the PIF clubs, because Clearlake do have a minority investment in Clearlake, but because that investment is so small, it's all but you can't really say when it's so small as it is with that, you can't call it a conflict of interest because there's just not enough money or influence going into PIF in order to have an element of control over that transfer. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see where this goes in the future, how we go about it. And maybe, I mean, it seems that our owners like to do everything the correct way, for example. I mean, there are loopholes, obviously, but we haven't really broken any rules. And if anything, we've, turned in anything that is suspicious. So I think they are going to do their best to avoid any type of sanctions and avoid, breaking the rules in this sense. But that being said, something I wish we can break the rules on is the development of the stadium, because we're in such a standstill with this. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm so sick and tired of it. I really am. It's so demoralizing because I at this point I don't think we're ever going to get a stadium ever. But anyways, Dan King reporting here. Chelsea, upgrading the stadium, Chris. You know what I meant, asshole. Chelsea are facing a nightmare choice over plans for a new stadium. The bosses believe they have only two options: spend 6 years away from Stamford Bridge while it is redeveloped, or pay over the odds to buy land and build elsewhere. 6 years is a crazy amount of time to rebuild the Stamford Bridge. That's just so wild to me. I don't know. This is depressing. I don't think we're ever getting a stadium at this rate, or an upgrade. I think we're stuck for Stamford Bridge. We're gonna fall behind.
Well, we do have the chance to upgrade, but like it says here, there are going to be some difficulties around that. And I think Ahmed has talked, because he's from a civil engineering background. He'll understand some of this to a high degree. The reason why it could take so long, according to him, is because the Stamford Bridge Stadium is around like residential areas, so you can only have access to that site within certain hours, because working on a new stadium is going to be noise and traffic and all that. So you've got to kind of act within your limits in consideration of all of the residents that are around that area. And that's what I gather from what Ahmed said. He might be able to explain it better when he gets a chance to talk about it. But
how long did Tottenham Stadium take, by the way?
3 years.
I think so.
They were only at Wembley for 2 years. I think they were only at Wembley for 2 to 3 years. That's it.
That's what just annoys me. This fan base of the pitch owners, they just want to hold Chelsea back as well. They say standards with this club. Why we do this?
But this isn't a pitch. This isn't a pitch owner problem. Like I said,
they won't let us.
No,
leave,
but I think it is because they want. Yeah, they want. And when we wanted to redevelop with Roman, and we had that I liked the theme of the whole cathedral thing. Like when I saw the photo, this is pretty cool. And we have to dig on. Deeper because of the whole the freaking Buckingham Palace has to have a clear view of freaking a dead guy from 500 years ago, apparently still.
Something like that, yeah.
Classic British thing, sorry. But that thing. So it's that they also didn't like the design and blah blah blah. So then they shut that shit down. So then Roman's what the fuck am I gonna do when shooting down the one proposal I had?
If I recall correctly, that had nothing to do with the pitch owners, because at the end of the day, we're still staying at Stamford Bridge. I don't know if they were involved too much, but what I do know is that the pitch owners weren't the reason that design didn't go through. The reason the design didn't go through was that Roman withdrew his visa application. That was the reason, as far as I'm aware.
We wanted to try and move though, at one point.
That's a completely different thing, Chris. You're talking about the Battersea Power Station stuff and all that. And...
No, but I'm saying though, but Roman has actually tried to move, and our new owners actually seen the possibility if we can actually try and move away, but they have to buy out all the shares somehow, try convince them to buy them all out and move. That's the only way I feel we can do that, but this this ownership would actually prefer to move the stadium. I guarantee it, because this stadium can only go up to 60 something thousand. You can build a stadium somewhere else what can go to 80,000 if you wanted to, and then you can even maybe expand that to like 100,000, say in the future. But I doubt it will.
Yeah, no, of course they want to move, but this is the reality of the situation, whether we like it or not. And I don't know how much that we can do about it. They're the people that will have lawyers and all that, and they'll understand it better than we will. So that's up to them to figure out if they want to come to some sort of compromise.
So we can move Oliver, but we can't like be called Chelsea FC. Like,
Well, that's the problem because
they put Jonas out the rights about some reason.
yes, and we can't lose that name because that's our brand.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. We can't. I'm not expecting us to lose that name.
Yeah.
We're going to be called London FC or
maybe.
I don't know. You got an American name out there, Marshall? Lakers FC or something.
We can be called the blueberry footballers
Or the Blue Lions
FC.
or something. The
Blue
Blue
Lions.
Lions.
Blue Lions. There you go. Yeah, that's actually better. Actually,
Or
put me on the spot. Blueberries.
the London Cowboys, as they say.
I don't want.
Yeah,
to stay with
then the
that,
Cowboys. Let's go.
it's not really
London
much of an
Yankees.
upgrade. Isn't it like a 15k upgrade, by the way? Isn't it only like a 15k upgrade?
Yes, I believe
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
minimum.
again, it's not that worth it at that point.
Yeah, it's like
You
only
know?
like 50k in total, or like 55 or tops, when we're
Maybe
gonna have like a
55,
growing
maybe
fan
around
base and
55.
population, hopefully. So it's like, bro, what's the point? You're not like the
The
long
thing is,
term,
it does
medium
help a
term
little
thing is
bit,
not worth it.
But you have to wait 6 years just for a 15k upgrade and no more upgrades after that. No more.
So dumb. Like at that point, why?
I want to move. I want to.
It's not worth it. Yeah,
Move
like.
that shoes if you want.
But what if? I mean, I asked this. I don't know the answer, and I don't know if anyone does know the answer. But what if we move the ladies here, and then the men move over to another stadium? Can we keep the name then? Because it's still Chelsea playing on the pitch.
I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
I don't know. You need to
Yeah,
be on
but
the
big
board,
up-
Marshall, give ideas out.
They won't listen to me, Chris. They'll hear my accent and they'll immediately dismiss everything I
Nah,
have to
Todd
say.
Boehly's gonna say, my guy, man, get in here.
My
Get in
guy,
here.
man. Yeah, no, I'm okay.
It's one of me.
Oh my god, too small for the ladies. Even maybe it might be actually.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, where do the ladies play right now?
They play at Kings Meadow Stadium in they play at Kings Meadow. But the problem with giving Stamford Bridge to the ladies is they can't even sell out. They can't sell out Stamford Bridge. Like you remember, Mosh? You remember the bed
Sheesh,
advert?
Calm down. Yeah. Go ahead.
That was put there because those seats weren't sold.
I
It's
was
empty space.
wondering.
You might as well use it, make a bit of money off it. But at the end of the day, like they have sold out Stamford Bridge before, or at the very least, they've gotten a lot of seats sold. But that's for like the big matches. Like I remember, I went to one myself in 2021. It was the opening match day of the Women's Super League. It was versus Spurs. That was a big match, and everyone turned up for it. But for your smaller matches, they go to Kings Meadow because it's much more appropriate for the kind of audience you're going to get.
So, real quick, just 2 shout outs. Thank you, Will, for the £1.99 super chat. And I was wondering why my number skyrocketed up so suddenly. And I didn't see any message from anything on YouTube saying that there was a raid, but Staffy just dropping in the information. Staffy raid, by the way. just in case you needed to know what happened. But big up Staffy, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everyone from Staffy TV's channel. Welcome to Casually FC, where we talk about Chelsea and all things football related in a sense as well, related to Chelsea. You're watching the Casually Chelsea show, where we kind of wrap up all the Chelsea news into one, jam-packed 2 or 3 hour stream. So, or podcast, we'll say. But big up if you're new here, subscribe. If you like what you hear, then go ahead and smash the like button. But yeah, thank you, Staffy, for the raid. Appreciate you, man. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Hopefully there'll be a W for Chelsea, but I am not holding my breath on that one. So yeah, we're talking about the stadium. Let's move on to the next part of the show. As we are getting close towards the end, there's been a bit of financial misinformation going on. And it's on everyone's mind because everyone's wondering, well, Chelsea, how are they going to afford these new players? Yada, yada. Chelsea, they don't have money for FFP. and I feel like a lot of people are ignoring the fact that we can sell players. You understand we have players to sell. Champions League football, this and that. Like you guys already know. So let's start off with the first tweet I have here in regards to Blueco. So Blueco have announced Chelsea made a loss of £90 million for the period up to June 30th, 2023. The company Blueco 22 itself has announced a loss of £653 million for the period of March 2nd, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. So that's from the time that Boehly acquired the club up until last season.
This was from before he acquired the club.
No, because didn't he acquire it around March of 2022?
No, it was May.
Norman?
Yeah, it was May.
Okay. So I hear this, and I'm kind of confused, right? And then we have Ben Jacobs said Chelsea grew overall revenue from £481 million to £512 million. They have also increased commercial revenue from £177 million to £210 million, which is an increase of £33 million. I kind of wish where this time frame is, right? They also there's also confirmation that no dividends were paid. The directors do not recommend the payment of dividends. What else? Next one, Chelsea remain insistent that the club can operate within the Premier League's PSR and UEFA's financial fair play rules. The club continues to balance success on the field together with the financial imperatives of complying with UEFA and Premier League financial regulations. The club has complied with their financial regulations since their inception in 2012 and expects to do so in the foreseeable future, according to Matt Law. And then the last tweet I have here is also Mauricio Pochettino will meet with Chelsea's owners and co-sporting directors this week to discuss the club's summer transfer budget in light of the £90 million losses. So where do you guys stand on this?
Does he know?
I hope he's
Does
not
he know? Does he know?
I really hope he's not invited to that transfer talk, because if he's invited...
Oh, man. Well, that's why I said earlier, I'm kind of nervous. Like, what's happening?
Like,
what if they actually keep this guy?
Where did we lose that 90 million anyway? Like, just like lost in thin air?
I assume it's from the transfers, right?
We'll probably it'd be Champions League TV money, not the absence of it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, the absence of Champions League TV money. Yeah.
Not progressing far in both cups last season. Amongst other things.
Will with the £1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Will. MHL about to pressure Blueco to bring Tuchel back.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of confusing. I don't know if there's actually that much in losses, or at least if there is that much in losses, there might not be accounting the amount of profit we've made either. So it just seems straight up just.
Look where we are.
I understand. That we're not playing. No, I get it. I understand that we're not making money in terms of being in European, football, but we sold a lot of players, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we sold around like 260-ish million last season. Which is the season we just had. No one really talks about it.
Almost $250,000. Yeah, no one talks about it, obviously.
Like I get no why rivals don't talk about it, and that's actually quite impressive. But like, we're 11th. Like we get to the final in the Carabao Cup. I don't know how much money that gets you. Like we got no European football.
Barely get you anything.
Like it's just like we ain't bringing much money as a club. We need that. Premier League football does give you money, but like we need that extra bonus because we spend so much money. We need like that Champions League football, or even Europa League football or something. We need something, new sponsors, better sponsors. But the club will only realise that until they, actually get the right manager in for starters. I think that's like a start of it, and then maybe you can actually get results. Like Tuchel, man, he was great at getting results.
Oh my God, no, Will, no, Will, and no, Chris, no to Tuchel, please. Stay away from drugs. Don't go back to drugs.
Stay away from drugs. Oh my God.
Allegedly, bro. Allegedly.
No, I was saying the drug of Tuchel. But I forgot about.
Oh, okay.
It works in many ways.
Tuchel gonna hit like crack when he comes back, man.
That's what I'm saying. Stay away from that.
Give me the Tuchel pack. Let's go.
Nostalgia. The drug of nostalgia. That's what I'm saying.
It's not really though, because like when it was so wrongly sacked. I always still believe
Obviously,
that.
we agree with that.
When I was literally playing a 2K game like with Will. And
Wait, Curry. Surely you can agree that he was sacked too early.
He was
right?
5 points off. He was 5 points off top.
Yes, but then he says shit's like a dumbass. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I have a new owner. What am I gonna say? To shit on them right away. What do I also say?
obviously,
Gallagher's
yeah.
the new Conte. I don't need a midfield. And then last second, oh, maybe I do need a midfielder because Conte is always injured and Gallagher's not good enough and Kovacic gets hurt. Like, oh my god, wow.
I think he would take a great
Preach, bro.
I think no,
Like,
but
the area that's needed the most. You know, the area that's needed the most.
He also said great
You know,
things.
that
you know?
area.
He also said
not
he drive
that
the
summer.
bus.
Yeah, that was before the new management. After the new management, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna be
Man
a
was
dickhead.
stressed out. All right, come on.
No,
now.
he's like, it's time for me to be a dickhead. Like, he's like, I know he was dealing with personal shit, but bro, this is when you're supposed to kiss up to the new ownership. Kiss up for the first 6 months, so then they love you and they trust you, and then they'll back you even more. But no, he's like, you know what? Oh, we're over. You know, we talk and stuff. Like, bro, they're new to the sport. You know, the directors and Petr and Marina kind of like said F off, like, I'm Roman's people. So then he's going to ask you for more advice. What are they going to do? I'm sorry you have to be a director of football for like this summer window. And then bro is like bitching and complaining about that. I'm sorry, those guys backed up. What is he going to do? He's not going to get someone right away. And then you're like, oh, but they're asking me for all the transfers. And they want my knowledge and more of my time. Like, no, duh, genius, you're the manager who won the Champions League. You're the experienced guy. You're the guy they inherited that's still staying. So why aren't they going to ask for more opinions and for your input? And then you bitch and complain.
I get it. Like, to a certain extent, Tuchel did make his own bed. But I this is going to sound so ridiculous. It's going to sound like I'm buddy with Tuchel. But I genuinely feel that these links with Tuchel, right? I feel like Tuchel does want to come back to Chelsea. I feel like Tuchel does regret the way he behaved himself. And I feel like this was his favorite club. And now that the way the structure is set up, it is more suited towards what Tuchel wanted, which is he just wants to coach. Let the recruiters do the recruiting, and Tuchel works with what he got. You know, I don't recall Tuchel ever really complaining about lack of a position or lack of like, oh, I'm not being backed in this sense like other managers have. Like, yes, his talent ID isn't great, which is why you get him recruiters to get a team for him. So that's just me, right? Maybe I'm being deluded. Maybe I'm being delusional in the sense that like, oh, he regrets the way he acted. I don't know. Maybe Tuchel is as stubborn as it comes, and he also is like, fuck them, never want to go back to them, screw them. I don't know. But hey, listen, we have Sarri coming out with reports saying he regrets leaving London. So I don't know. Maybe
he was homesick when he was at Chelsea there for like reasons as well, because Chelsea fan base treated him like shit for some reason.
Yeah.
And like he did well, of course. I actually thought he did really well for Chelsea. He got us to Europa League. You know, we're in Champions League football, and it's on to the next season. But he wanted to go back to home, basically. So I want Tuchel back now because he got results and he knew how to like paper over the cracks for like players who weren't that good. So Tuchel's a real manager, like compared to like especially Potter and Poch.
Obviously, I get that, but again, this is what I'm saying, Vic. Like, yes, I understand his talent ID is shit, right? We get it. I think we all agree his talent ID is shit. However, when you get recruitment that are the talent ID that recruit for him, I think Tuchel doesn't complain. He just works with what he's got and he makes it happen. I genuinely feel, in a non-creepy way, Tuchel does have a fascination with getting the best out of players and you know, getting, it's like for him it's all toys. Like, oh cool, I get to try this. Like, ooh, let me try this. Like he genuinely is passionate about playing players and experimenting with football and like getting the best out of these players and stuff. I genuinely think he has a passion for that, which is why he loves to coach. But at the end of the day, we will see. I mean, I don't see it happening. There is a possibility there, but you know.
The problem with treating players like toys is you don't have to manage the personalities and feelings of toys. You have to manage people.
I know.
That-
I get
that's
that.
one of his.
And
That's one of
man
his weaknesses.
management-
Yeah,
I understand his man management isn't that great, but
and we still would have. We would have had Mount. He was running Mount to the ground. No matter what you think of him, he was running Mount to the ground, and we see that with Man United. This man has not played since September or August.
He's not coming back until after the international break.
Exactly, he ran him to the fucking ground, dude.
Wait,
You're talking about Saka. This man was in
Mount.
500 competitions because we used to make it so far in the Champions League. And we used to be in finals of every cup because of Tuchel, and that's props to him. I'm not saying I don't love him as a manager, but I don't need him back. Especially this season. If you ask Strasbourg Steve, this man, like I was saying when we had the Tuchel argument, he went from a Choupo-Moting to a Harry Kane, and he's 10 points behind. And he's not... And Strasbourg is saying he's not coaching an attack. How are you not coaching an attack with Harry Kane, Coleman, and Sane and Musiala? That's the easiest thing to do.
He's actually,
That's the
he's
easiest
actually
thing
doing
to
that
do.
lately. I'm pretty sure, the players you just listed, because I'm pretty sure
Like,
he's doing that.
hey,
lately.
you know what the funny thing is? The 2 weeks where Harry Kane is staying up at striker, they're banging in goals and destroying teams. It's amazing when you don't let Harry Kane drop down to CDM and tell him to stay in his position. I know Harry Kane is used to that, but he just needs to know he's in a different team.
But at the same time, let me ask you this, because I feel like Tuchel's not the only one that's been. I feel like Tuchel's not the only one at fault, or that has this flaw. I feel like managers that made their reputation off a certain style of football and start getting to the elite level, I feel like they start to play a little bit more conservatively as they get older. It seems like there's a trend towards that. Like my example being I guess Poch, for example. Poch, before, when he got to Tottenham, his history prior to that, he had good football. There was something there with Poch. And then after, Tottenham, he gets a big job at PSG, plays it safe. Now he's doing the same thing at Chelsea, playing it safe. We look at, who else can I look at? There's not really many examples.
Or manages to get more pragmatic over time.
Yeah, it seems that way because it seems like Tuchel did do that. Arteta, to a certain extent, did try to do that this season, but he decided to go back to what he was doing, and that was working out for him, obviously. But I can't think are there any other managers that have gone more pragmatic over time?
There are, but I think a lot of it's tactical. I think Pep Guardiola's gotten more pragmatic over time. Certainly. At Barcelona, you've never seen him using a hybrid back three in possession and stuff like that. He wouldn't do it the same way. But he just developed as a manager over time. He started using inverted fullbacks. He eventually got it all figured out, and he won that He won the treble last season. So, but I think that's more of an evolution of him, and he became better for it. And even Klopp used to be you think Klopp's press is mad now? Back in years ago, it was even crazier. But they'd ship goals for it, so they had to calm down a bit. They had to get Van Dijk in. They got Thiago, who was meant to slow the game down and stuff like that. So, but it made them better, and that's the thing. With Poch, him going pragmatic has made him worse, and that's the problem.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, listen, we'll maybe one day in the summer we'll have a discussion about every single manager that we're linked with, and really have a real debate on it. Especially the Tuchel one. I think Tuchel. I would love to have Tuchel back. But that being said, maybe something this summer we'll do a video on that. You guys in the comments let me know, and you guys in the chat let me know if that's something that would interest you. But before we get to our last segment of the night, and big up to the panel for sticking around. Obviously, these shows go long sometimes, especially when it's a dry week. For whatever reason, we still happen to stretch it out to 3 hours, which is insane. So if you are here watching, big up to you guys. If you stayed here the whole time, big up to you as well, especially to you guys. And if you're new here, if you just got here from the raid, be sure to smash the like button on your way in. It's like wiping your feet before coming into someone's house. So I do appreciate it. It would help out the channel tremendously, and it doesn't take much. So do smash up the like button, please. It does help. and subscribe if you enjoy the personalities here, if you enjoy the content. But let's go ahead and close it out on this final topic, which is discussing Todd Boehly's role in Chelsea at the moment. I think there's a lot of confusion on this. I don't think people understand what exactly Todd Boehly is doing at Chelsea. A lot of people still are stuck on this idea that Todd Boehly runs the whole thing, which he does not. He never actually did, to be honest. It's a consortium, so he only has partial ownership. So Matt Law here reporting, while Begdad Eghbali is more engaged in the day-to-day running of the club, Todd Boehly's power has not been diluted by his decision to step back from matters that he feels can be managed by those employed to do so, and every big decision requires the signature of each man. So seems like it's being run a lot like a democracy with a lot of hands on deck. So we continue on. Todd Boehly is often said to speak to his business associates about the next 20 plus years at Chelsea, while external experts feel that Eghbali and Feliciano have more pressure on them to achieve quick results from investors. We continue on. Friends of Todd Boehly say he has thick skin and is more worried about Chelsea's disappointing performance since the takeover than he is about his own reputation. Boehly and Clearlake feel they had to rebuild the club almost from scratch and were braced for tough times. I mean, if this is true, I do respect it to a certain extent. That Boehly's aware of what's going on and he's not happy with it. Obviously, none of us are happy with it. It's what you're doing and it's what's going on in the background that I'm curious about. Are you butting heads with Eghbali? Is Eghbali the one calling the shots recently and moving towards his younger model, whereas Boehly was the one that wanted the more experienced players, which we did see the stark difference between the beginning of the ownership versus towards January onward.
He wanted a star signing as well, if you remember.
He wanted a marquee signing. Which again, I think there should be a balance. I don't think it should be one or the other. But if Boehly's recognizing that he's not, if this is true, then he's recognizing he's disappointed by the performances. He doesn't care about his look, which it's fine. I don't want the owners to care about how they look to the fan base. At the end of the day, I want you to care about the results, which it's good to hear this. But let's start making some changes. I mean, what do you guys think?
So if we're to believe this, if we're to believe that Todd Boehly is he's more concerned about the performances than his own reputation. If we're to
Oh, Jesus Christ. If I believe it. Eghbali's taking you out, Oliver.
Eghbali,
you got cut off.
Eghbali's cutting you out.
Oh no. Okay, so
believe this, yeah.
Yeah, so if we're to believe this, that he's more interested in the performances of the club than his own reputation, that only proves to me that him stepping down from the sporting director role, Eghbali was calling the shots by that point, because it was very clear by the end of Graham Potter's reign that it was quite clear that there was a lot of ego and just burying your head in the sand when it comes to how those results were going. It was very clear that it wasn't going to work, yet the club persisted with it, despite not having a plan, not really having a plan of what to do next. And then they got Lampard, which was just terrible. But, apparently Eghbali was involved in the Lampard thing too. But, Boehly, if he was in power at the time, then that doesn't work well with the idea that he's not concerned about his own image, because, like I said, there was just so much ego behind the decision to keep Potter. So I think this is just where a lot of Chelsea fans have got to wake up to the reality that Todd Boehly is a minority co-owner of this football club. The main thing you got to look at here is Clearlake and Eghbali and whoever his business partners are. That's what you've got to be looking at for me personally. I don't know what else to say really.
Go ahead, Chris. What are your thoughts?
I think with this ownership, he doesn't obviously. Oh, what I'm saying. He doesn't think like himself. Like he doesn't care about himself, because he won't think about himself like that. So it's. I just want him just to basically just do the things, instead of just talking. Like he's been talking for 2 years basically. So I just want changes. You gotta keep. For me, you gotta keep changing managers as well until you get the right one in. That's what it is for me. Like, you just gotta get the next manager in, because I think you can't keep changing this team. Like you said, like, you built this team from scratch, so you've done that. Like, you made a few mistakes bringing in Koulibaly and not Lukaku. Obviously, Lukaku is Roman, of course, but you're trying to get rid of Lukaku because Lukaku's not
Cucurella, Koulibaly, Sterling.
I would keep Cucurella, but like, I don't think Cucurella is like a huge mistake like that. But yeah, like, this core of this team, like, you can't get rid of it. You signed 8-year contract deals on this team, so you got the only thing you can change, and this is what Roman said, and this is so true. It's cheaper to get rid of the manager over the team. You gotta keep changing the manager until it works out, because that's how it works out. Like, so, yeah, like, this is how you do it, man. I think, like, I know, like, the old way doesn't work, but I think it does. I think you look at obviously Aston Villa. Look how good Aston Villa are now. They're top 4. You look how who's the other team I'm thinking of in the Premier League? There was another team.
Spurs.
Brighton.
Yeah, Spurs. Yeah, like, you look at Ange. Like, if we had Ange this season, do you think we're 11th? I don't think we're 11th.
Maybe not.
No, I think we're top 6 easily.
It's tough to say because a lot of people didn't want Ange. I think.
No, I get.
Very hesitant on
I think there are challenges. There are challenges with having Ange here. Like, playing his high line with Silva and Disasi, that is never going to work.
No,
just for one.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Like, Ange can be very suicide when he's red carded. Like, that's when he gets really suicide. So fuck it, I'm gonna send even more people forward. That's what he did against Chelsea. But like with Ange as well, because we didn't know who he was. I didn't know who Ange was, but like, we knew who Pochettino was. Like, we knew, like, somewhat he's a good manager. Like, well, thought he was like a decent manager. And we got a youth project like of a team. We thought Poch can work well with that, and it hasn't. And like, you can, like, admit you failed on this, and this is the one thing they was a bit cautious on Poch anyway. Like, they gave him a 2-year contract, so they're not like convinced of Poch to begin with. They're not like, we're gonna give you like a 3-4 or 5-year contract. They're not gonna do that. They gave him a 2-year contract, and this year's failed, and it's only like 1 year left, and it's like, I think it's like 10 million to get rid of him, or less. I'm not too sure, but like, it's around that. Just get rid of it. Like, just give him his 10 million, because this is he's a bum of a manager. And get a new manager, and maybe these results start going your way.
Yeah.
Like, I think they would be happy with Europa League spot. Like, if we got Europa League spot, I think they'd be genuinely happy with that, because it's European football.
The way I look at it, though, it's not even about the cost of sacking managers. The way I look at it, there are only 2 elite managers in the world. You can say what you want about your Inzaghi's. He needs to win some trophies before he becomes elite, and I'm sure even his biggest fans will admit that. Your Simeone's, again, great manager, but he, there's not really a consistency there in terms of leagues and UCL. There's only 2 elite managers in the world, Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. If you don't have one of those managers, you can change them. As far as I'm concerned, you can change the manager as many times as you damn please, because no one else is worth trusting with an 8-year project.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell. Obviously, what I'm hoping happens and continues to happen, because it has happened, right? Like, the owners have made mistakes, and it seems like they have learned from their mistakes, but they keep making more mistakes along the way. I do hope that the owners do pick up on these mistakes. For example, I'm hoping this summer we start to see more of a balance between age and experience, right? I don't mind having young players, but give me young players that either are like a Nico Williams level, like have played multiple years already of football and are coming in to make an impact. But also give me the experienced players. Don't be afraid to go make those signings for the 25 and older players. Like, I hope we change that, because there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance, especially when, listen, I don't know how this team is going to react if they hit another final. They got to their first final in the Carabao Cup, and we saw what happened. And I'm not putting that all on, the players. Obviously, Poch has a little bit to blame for that, but who knows if they're going to react appropriately when they hit another final? Are they going to learn from their last final? That's where the experienced player comes in. I've been to finals. I've been to Europe. I've been on the biggest stage in the world, and I've done it. I want more players to go and put their arm around these younger players and be like, listen, rely on me. We'll do this together. We need more of those players. That's why, like, we didn't need to rebuild completely from scratch. We could have kept Jorginho in this team. We could have probably kept who else did we get rid of? I mean, I wouldn't have minded keeping Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You know, like there are some players that we didn't necessarily need to get rid of, and there's people in the staff that, again, why did we scrap the staff as quickly as we did? You know, there's so many things where I'm like, okay, please, owners, learn from these mistakes. Don't do this again. You know, let's keep building. Let's go towards something, you know, that's overall going to be positive, a net positive for the club. And if Boehly really cares as much as he says, he's more disappointed with the results, then cool. I want you to be disappointed in the results over the scrutiny that you may be receiving. You shouldn't care about the scrutiny you're receiving. The scrutiny you're receiving is because of how the club is being run. So at the end of the day, that doesn't do shit for me. Be worried about how the club is being run. Be worried about the results. I want you to be, and then make the differences.
I'll tell you what, though, I guess the problem Boehly has is, again, he is a minority co-owner of this club. Does he have the influence to, like, you know, fair enough.
If what Matt Law is saying is true, then he's only stepped away from, you know, being the face and running the operations day to day, but he still has just as much power as he did in the beginning.
Well, he certainly doesn't have the power of being a sporting director, because that was his original.
Well, I don't think he wanted
I think that was always going to be temporary. Yeah, I think that was always going to be temporary.
Yeah, I know, but as far as I'm aware, in the reports that have come out this season, he's gone into more of like a chairman kind of role. It's in the business sector of the club, and you know, from that point of view, can you really have influence over the strategy of the transfers? Because that bleeds into the sporting side, which is Eghbali's baby.
And again, like if Boehly is really doing what he's doing at Strasbourg, taking a more of a major role in decision making there, like Boehly, recognize that you don't know as much about football or soccer, whatever you want to call it, as you think you do. Leave it to the experts. Stop toying with Strasbourg. Let Strasbourg just hire people who are experts that can do the job at Strasbourg and let them work. Like I don't like that. I don't like that the owners.
The worst thing is he does know, because he hired this Sam Jewell guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be like, I'm assuming he's supposed to be whatever Christopher Vivell was meant to be.
Something like that.
Sort of the sort of global, global scouting, sort of heading up the entire Blueco network.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows this, but he's apparently going into business for himself.
Like, I'll be honest, where I'm at right now with Chelsea, going back to what Ahmed's question was originally, right? Where I'm at with Chelsea is that I do feel that our directors are going to do what's best for the club, and that Pochettino, unless by some miracle he ends up getting us into Europe and we win the FA Cup, I do feel that Pochettino's time is coming to an end, and that we're going to hire a proper manager that suits his team a lot better. I think whether it was when Stanley or Lawrence Stewart that made the decision on this one, I think they misprofiled Poch. I think they misunderstood how capable he was of, you know, developing young players. And now you look at someone like Ruben Amorim or even De Zerbi to an extent, what he's done in his time, and now you're thinking, okay, maybe this was the better idea. So I'm hoping, and I have a feeling that is going to happen. I'm faithful that the ownership, not the ownership, but the directors are going to choose the right manager now. The next one is going to be the right one. And in time, we'll see. But then at the same time, I'm also hoping that Eghbali or whoever is making the decisions about, hey, we want to recruit young, don't recruit experienced players. I hope that changes as well. So time will tell. I really hope that these guys do learn their lessons and from their mistakes, because that's the best that we can hope for. But yeah, I mean, that's my fucking monologue. I think I'm done here. Anyone else want to add any 2 cents on that?
And I'm just tired of Chelsea. Like,
no, I'm tired too, man. I get it.
Like,
I get it.
Tomorrow we got fucking Newcastle as well. Like, and we're just both.
I'm not confident on that.
Yeah, I know. Like, both teams are actually shit form now. Like, Newcastle are not great either this season. We're only like 4 points behind with a game in hand. And I'm thinking, come on, Chelsea, just get these points, like, so we can actually start climbing up. But Chelsea, we don't do that. We don't do that no more. We're not, I don't recognize this club anymore. Like, we don't do that no more. So, yeah,
Newcastle haven't been in the best form, but we also just lost Ben Chilwell. So now I don't know who's gonna play left back. It's gonna be very interesting.
You know what I do before? Like, this is what I generally would do: is play Gusto left back, play Chalobah right back because he's the best like centre back who can play right back.
Okay.
Apparently, Thiago Silva's back, right? And then we played Disasi centre back with him. You play that back four. Like, that's the most logical back four you can actually.
I'm worried he's gonna stick to a back three, like he did the last 2 games.
And it's not gonna work out. It's just not.
Who's your left wing back though?
I don't know.
So.
Mudryk.
Might be Gusto.
Oh.
I honestly think, I hate to say it, I think he's gonna play Cucurella. He's just gonna force him. It's gonna be horrible.
I can't see Pochettino. I still can't. I've never seen.
He did it with Ugochukwu.
I mean, the thing is, there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. Poch did it wrong with Ugochukwu. You can play him for like, you can bring him on for like half an hour at the end of the game, maybe as at a push. It depends what level he's at. At most half an hour. Oh
wait, Cucurella's fit. He hasn't played in months.
So you probably do what Chris said there. You start Gusto from the beginning, but then you either take Gusto off at a certain point, or you shift him back to right back, and then Cucurella.
It's gonna be a really fucking interesting game tomorrow, boys. It's gonna be a really interesting game. This might make or break Poch, to be honest. If he loses, I could see the sack imminent.
I've been thinking about it actually, and with the quotes that we went over earlier, Pochettino is basically beefing the fans, like directly.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Yeah.
If when we go 1-0 down, it is gonna be ugly.
Fuck you, Mauricio. Fuck you, Mauricio. Fuck off, Mauricio. Fuck off, Mauricio.
Now at Chelsea, like,
it's bad. I've never seen it this bad.
Like Ahmed was
never
saying
seen it this bad.
It's very toxic now. Even when we beat Leeds, it's very toxic in the fan base because like,
you could hear it. You could hear it in the crowd, man.
Yeah,
you could hear it to the speakers. Like it's bad. It's really bad. And even Potter didn't get this bad. So. No. Yeah, time will tell. We'll see what happens. But boys and girls, we're gonna call it right here. We're calling it. We're ending it. If you haven't already done so, smash up the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you are watching from the Bridge 258's channel, who left, and I am now hosting this for his, be sure to also check out his channel. Smash the like, subscribe. Bell notifications so you're notified whenever we go live. Also, ladies and gents, I will say we are going to be rating Sarcasm City, our good friends over there. Thank you once again to Stoppy TV for the raid, and appreciate all you guys who joined us today. Check out the links in the description for other content. Leave a comment down below. Check out our memberships. And ladies and gents, as always, with the memberships, if you are a proper casual or higher, you get a shout out at the end of every show. And those are going to go out to Hassan Nawaz, A. Solomon, Uncle Jester FC, Will, Adrian, Scott, Dark, OG Turbo Jesus, and EE. Thank you guys so much for your love and support, and thank you everyone else who's also a member for your support. You get to enjoy those emojis. The more members we get, the more emojis. I do want to expand on the membership content as well over time. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. The more members we get, the more we can keep the lights on, and everything that we get in the channel goes back towards the channel. A lot of big changes are going to be happening in sooner rather than later. So, thanks to you guys and all the help that you guys provide and all the support. So thank you so much. But that being said, smash up the likes on your way out. We're going to go ahead and raid the man, the myth, the legend, Flawless over on Sarcasm City. And we'll see you there. And we'll see you tomorrow for the review of the Chelsea-Newcastle game. Hopefully it's a victory. Up to Chelsea. As always, guys, have a wonderful night. Stay casual.